podcast.
Okay.
This is a Jackson hate account.
Yeah, we do it
Wait a minute.
at 4:45 Pacific time, Friday, for 15 minutes.
It's on the same channel though, and they're like streaming at the exact same time, so it's like amp versus amp.
Exactly.
But we're just like,
hold on.
We're like talking whatever Jackson thinks of the movie. We are screaming the opposite opinion.
We're like
about everything he says, and I think that's just what this podcast is, but it'll just be like a little bit different.
Okay, well, hold on. My freaking keyboard's not working. What the fuck?
Jackson, you don't need a keyboard.
Well, yes, I do. Hold on.
Just hack into the mainframe of your computer.
What the H?
I'm in.
Yeah. I'm in.
Nothing ever works around here.
Keyboard.
Except for me maybe at Albertson's Bakery.
Yeah.
Just seems like fun. I honestly do not have the time.
Working at Albertsons, YN.
YN. I just think it'd be so fun. I think it'd be so fun to be a cake decorator.
It would be. I
Okay,
remember
I
in middle school. In middle school, we had like career day where you had people like come up and be like, "This is the work that I do." And I don't remember a single one of those idiots. The only one that I care about is one guy who worked at like the Fred Meyer bakery came up and he was like, "Yo, everybody grab a free eclair. I got this job out of college and I just get to make cakes all day for 4 hours at 4 a.m. and then I go home and then I have cakes." And like every single middle schooler there was just like, "Yo, this is
also they have dental care. They have dental care and other health care. Like I don't have dental care at my work right now. I can have my teeth covered.
Pay for these teeth.
Yeah, pays for the eyeballs. Pays for the doctor. But these teeth, the cakes will pay.
The cakes will pay. Okay. We're good. Everything's good. I don't think there are any problems. I've solved most of the problems of the world.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you solve the problem of my computer screen being broken?
I don't know. Have you checked?
I guess. Let me see if they've emailed
turn it
me.
off and then turn it on again.
I did several times.
You can see the bag of cereal on my floor behind me.
Well, can't see what kind of cereal it is.
Well,
what
can you guess?
What kind of cereal?
Is it
corn pop?
Rice Krispies?
No, they're honey buzzers.
Oh, those are so good.
Yeah, they're the best cereal, basically.
And they like stay crunchy. That's critical.
Well, see, I'm a no milk with cereal guy, so that's less of an issue for me.
Okay, well, for me, I like to snack, but cereal in its right form is with con leche. That's Spanish for milk. You. Yeah, exactly.
Jackson, are we gonna have a mustache update?
I mean,
I was just thinking about that too.
This is it. What do you think?
I think it looks good.
It's starting to look like something.
Looks like hair.
My nose shadow's getting in the way, but
which is how you know that it's real good. Yeah. You have the two like tiny little like French.
Yeah, wow.
I did shave it at one point. I don't know if I checked back in with the podcast when I did. I shaved it at one point because I was going to film a video and it looked bad and I got self-conscious. But this is probably 2 weeks, something like that.
Okay.
Are you going to get some oil for it?
I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I've reached that point.
You got to twist it?
I'm excited for the day that you get there, though.
We'll see. We'll see if I do.
Have you guys had the Beach Plum LaCroix? Have you seen it at all?
It's not that good. I tried it. I was like, this is all right.
Okay, but it tastes exactly like a Capri Sun.
Ooh.
It doesn't.
Yes, it does!
Is the thing about it.
It does! Well, okay, because Maddie and I both tried it, and we both independently were like, this tastes exactly like a Capri Sun. And then I let two friends try it, and they also said, this tastes like a Capri Sun. I also 4 out of 5 doctors recommend.
I probably haven't had a Capri Sun since middle school, so maybe that's why I didn't think of it that way.
My freshman year of university, I drank so many Capri Suns. There were kids down my dorm hall who were like drinking like vodka all the time and like all the alcohol, and I was like, do you guys want Capri Sun? I have so many.
I got Capri Sun. So here's the tea. I turned 21 on the 6th. Yay, it was my birthday. I had a very fun birthday. We went to the store, we got liquor so I could like try things. I think I drank about 1 drink, and I don't like it. The drinking of the alcohol.
Everybody
Yeah,
always says
good.
that. You always say that for 6 months, and then you just like get in the habit of like having a glass of wine every once in a while, and you figure it out.
I have
My
a
voice
question.
got real weird. Was
Did
that
you
just
just
for me?
suck up some helium, or
Oh, I don't know. It
Yeah.
must have been a Discord thing. I'm telling you though, everybody always is like, I don't even like alcohol. I think it tastes gross, and then you just like figure it out.
Okay, but first of all, I was super excited this before I turned 21 that I wanted to get the strawberries and cream Baileys, because that sounded great.
that does
Schnapps,
not.
I don't know if you know this, is like 90% alcohol.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's a lot of
You
alcohol.
mix it
and
with
getting
things.
strawberries and cream does not cover that up even a little bit. It just kind of hurt to drink.
And isn't schnapps always, or not schnapps? Isn't Bailey's always coffee?
No, they're like, it's like
I
chocolate.
think it's always cream.
Okay.
Like, I
Yeah,
think there's
it's a
different
creamy
flavors, but it's
liqueur.
always milk
Right.
alcohol,
I
which is what I
always-
like to call it.
I always tell the story of the things they used to sell in Ellensburg. There was like a local business called Buzz Balls, and they were like little like shots of drink in like a just like a little ball with like a flat
And a
bottom.
Wonder Ball.
Yeah, and
Oh.
it had like a soda crack on the top. It was cool packaging.
We
But-
had those at the liquor store too.
Oh, did they? Are
Anything
they
in
branching
ball, like a ball-shaped drink, is always just
Right. But I always-
beautiful.
'cause I've never tried-
Feels
I've-
Star Warsy.
I've never-
Chubbies in Canada,
right.
you know,
Like I never
to my
tried
Canadians.
Bailey's though. I've never tried like the coffee alcohol, and I always like have wanted to, but I've never gotten around to it. And there were like there were 2 different times when I was like, oh, I'll get one of these Buzz Balls. Like they're cheap. It's just like a drink I can get. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just like vodka and soda or like some mix of something. It's like some kind of mixed drink. But I always got one that was like brown and looked like, cream, like it had cream in it, and it had like little beans on it. I was like, oh, this is like the coffee one. Sounds good. I'll give it a try. And then I got it home and cracked it open and realized that it was not, in fact, coffee flavored. It was chocolate flavored, which is not a pleasant combination of flavors. Like chocolate and
What do you
alcohol
mean?
is not a good mix.
When I went back before the pandemic, I would go to trivia every Friday,
Yeah.
and
I just
you
get
could
fucking blitz.
well, if you ordered like the drink of the month, then they would give you 2 extra points, and we would usually
Wow.
be within like 2 points of winning. So I got it one time, and the drink was like Thin Mint Martini or something like that, and it was literally all of my least favorite flavors because I don't really like mint chocolate. It's just not my thing. Like
It
I like
sounds like drinking toothpaste.
it was like
That's what that sounds
Right.
like.
it was minty, chocolatey, milky alcohol.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
It was just, and like the viscosity was just like a little too thin or a little too thick. Like it was right in between like what could be good in a drink. And I was like, I'm not going to drink this.
It
I'm
sounds
literally
horrible.
not, it
Do
was
I
like
want it?
the
Do I get
worst,
points?
a pallid green. Like it was just,
That was green.
like
Oh,
I'm
no.
so, like the food there is so good. But like that drink was just not.
I think they were
For
just
me.
pranking you. They were like, dude, do you
Right?
think that they'll
Like,
drink
what-
it? Do you think these nerds will drink this to
Yeah.
get 2 more points? Do you think they're
They were
gonna
like-
do it?
Someone actually ordered it. We never thought anyone actually like get this.
Right.
What's wrong with you?
I
This
always-
is trivia night.
I had a real beef with Starbucks the other day because my car's been in the shop. So I've been going to Starbucks to like work on stuff because there's like a coffee shop that I like to work at who's like the drinks I know, but it's far away. So I can walk to Starbucks, so I've been going to Starbucks. But like I like to get an iced drink. I usually just go for the mocha like frappuccino because it's basically just a mocha, but it's like blended, Like I know it's like sugary, but it's like a coffee drink. But one day I was like, maybe I don't want mocha. Maybe I'll go for vanilla instead. So I ordered the vanilla frappuccino, thinking it would be coffee and vanilla flavor and ice. But it's not.
No.
It's a vanilla milkshake.
You order yourself a milkshake.
Yeah, so it was like
Gotcha.
8 a.m. I walk into Starbucks and I'm just like, one milkshake, please. And they're like, okay. So
They're like,
And they were like,
and
coming right up, weirdo.
you're not
Yeah.
a 12-year-old girl?
Right.
So I don't
And they, yeah,
know.
exactly. And they like hand it to me and it's like bright white. And I'm like, shouldn't this be like at least a little bit brown? Like,
It's our blonde roast.
yeah, exactly.
A whisper of brown in there.
Yeah,
Which is
someone
like-
went.
You call a fart a whisper of brown.
Because I went up after I took a couple of sips. I was like, is there coffee in this? And the guy was like, there shouldn't be, is there? I was like, no,
Like-
that was the problem. I thought
Like,
there'd be
there
coffee in
isn't.
it.
Isn't this Starbucks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look and you're like, oh my
You
god, I'm
guys
at
are
McDonald's.
Where am I? No, here's the thing. Here's the tea about coffee places. Starbucks.
That was a good pun,
bad.
by the way.
Starbucks bad. They're expensive.
Way expensive.
They're bland as hell. Like, I have never drinking a drink at Starbucks and been like, I can really taste the flavor that this is supposed to be. It doesn't just taste like kind of dirt water with some sugar in it. And like, they put way too much fucking ice into their frappuccinos. They have
Yes.
this new one. It's called like the strawberry funnel cake frappuccino. I got it. Strawberry funnel cake flavor, amazing. But it was only there for like 2 seconds, and then I was left with just ice in a cup
Yeah.
that
Well,
used to
that's the
have
thing.
milk in it.
I always go
fucking
for
gross.
my first instinct is always just like iced mocha. Like it's a hot day and it sounds nice. But then I realize
Mhm.
that the cup they serve you an iced mocha in is like 78% ice. And you're paying for
You
like
can ask for
four-
light ice. You
Maybe
can say
I'll do
light
that,
ice.
because I feel like I'm paying $8 for like 4 ounces of liquid, you know?
It's true.
Yeah.
Or if you go for a cold
That's-
brew, if you get that nitro cold brew,
Oh,
no
it's-
ice.
Is cold brew
They still doing the
cold
cloud
when they
thing?
give it
Those
to
things
you?
were good.
I don't know about the cloud thing. What did you say, Jackson?
is cold brew like cold when they give it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that was how it
It's a cold
worked.
brew.
I don't know.
You brew a cold.
Did
and
you
it stays
think
cold.
that they brewed it cold
brewed
and
it
then
cold and then they
warmed
heated
it
it
up?
It seems like one of those things where it's relative, like that it's not like fucking steamed and hotified like coffee normally is. I just assumed it was like a relative cold, or it was like, oh, you know,
No,
this is only
it's
warm.
no, it's
No.
cold.
Okay, well,
No,
fine.
you can even ask them to put a little bit of ice in that guy if you wanted. But
Okay, fine.
Can you
It's
guys
just-
heat up some cold brew for me?
Is
one
it-
time I asked,
Cold.
I had a friend who was working at a coffee shop, and I was like, I want it hot, but I want it blended. And then he didn't make the drink for me because I was being stupid.
blended.
Then he
I
asked
said,
if
fair
you
enough.
leave.
I said, fair enough.
Yeah.
It was not a Dutch Bros, so, you know, it barely counts.
Okay, you know what they have at Starbucks
Dutch
that
Brothers
rules
is
though?
superior because their sizes are freaking huge
sizes
and their
are
drinks
crazy.
are sweet,
Yeah.
which I like.
I know. I'm
Yeah, no,
past that
seriously,
point in
they
my
changed
life,
it
though.
for the app because the app used to be, or the little pieces of paper that you got punched and you had 10, you got a free drink,
Yes,
which
yes,
Starbucks
yes.
doesn't even fucking do because they suck. But when you got that, you get a free large.
You
which
can
was
you
just-
can have a Starbucks account though, and you can like get points that way.
But the thing is, you would get a free large, and that was just a burden because they would give you about a gallon of
Right.
Annihilator. over
It's
the
literally
holidays
like
you got.
this.
Yeah.
They're like, here you go.
Yeah,
here's
and
your
you're just, like,
coffee.
holding it for the rest
You're
of
like-
the day. I got a free large for my birthday,
Yeah.
and literally I drank half of it, felt bad, and then threw the rest of it
Yeah.
away because in my mind I was like, I got my enjoyment out of this, and it was free. I can just,
Right.
It's for the birds.
It's
Like,
for the
hey,
birds.
Here
For
you
the
go. Good
birds.
luck. Like,
Yeah.
If I'm gonna get coffee, because like there's a lot of good coffee places, especially in like Washington State, because
right.
Seattle.
We love our coffee.
So if I'm gonna get coffee, I'll go somewhere else. But if I'm gonna get a flavored tea, I'm going straight to Dutch Bros. I'm getting right in line. I'm getting one that's this big.
Yeah. I'm getting a burden.
It's so
Very impressive
I love an
They call
iced
it-
tea on
Can I
a
get-
90-degree day.
Can I get an iced burden?
An iced bird.
Can I get iced burden, please? Okay, Dutch Brothers loves to do that like chocolate thing, or that's like, oh, it's sinful, but it's just like this coffee might kill you because it's like the Annihilator.
Yeah.
I think they literally have one called the 911. Like it's totally that.
I think it's called the 911, Adeline.
Yeah. Well, I believe the full title is ER 911 because I ordered a few of those in high school.
Yeah.
They under dire circumstances.
Under threat of death. Can I get a Hawaii 510, please?
Hawaii 510.
It was that.
It was called.
Yeah, there was that day. There was a day where we did, like, in musical theater, we did a show like 3 times in one day.
Right, one of those.
And the second one, I had a solo and I like just forgot all the words. I like stood there and went in front of like a full audience, and I was like, this is bad, and so then I walked myself to Dutch Bros and I said, 1 ER 911, please.
1 strawberry 911, please.
Yes, I said 1 ER September 11th, please. Never forget.
Yeah.
And then I could see sound.
Yeah.
So because it's like 6 shots of espresso or something. Like that's not for a human body.
Whenever they hand it to you, they're like, this drink will live in infamy in your digestive system for the rest of time.
Right,
yeah, they make you sign a waiver.
Yeah.
You're like,
you're gonna talk to a therapist about this coffee someday. This
Yeah.
is gonna stick with you for a while.
They write the number on the lid, and you're like, ooh, he's flirting with me. Then you call it, and you're like, hi. And they're like, are you okay?
they're like, what's your emergency?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going wrong in your life that you needed this? That you saw that, and you thought, that's what I need.
You call the number, and it's just the police office. You're like, oh no, we got him.
Yeah, because you
I
need
think every time
this
you order
much
that,
coffee.
like, somebody in like the hospital just gets like a little notification, and they're like, okay, and they're just like ready. Like they don't go immediately, but they just know.
Yeah.
There's a separate
like someone's
section.
going through a crisis, just like kind of just be raring to go.
How do we feel about the film? Do we want to jump in? Are we all recording?
We haven't even.
yeah.
This is the pre-show, dog. I don't even have
Preamble.
the audition open.
Okay, well then let's get audition open and we can keep riffing
Phil,
about
I've
Dutch
been recording.
Brothers or
I'm ready to
whatever.
go whenever.
I've been recording too.
I'm still
We were
laughing
just
because
chatting.
Jackson's
Okay.
voice still sounds like
It's
Alvin
still
and the
super
Chipmunks.
high.
Really?
It's not Alvin and the Chipmunks high, but it's definitely like you sucked some helium. Like it's your.
Whoops. I don't know why that could be. I mean, I don't think the stream hears that because it's
That's
just going
fine.
straight from my microphone to the horse's
It'll
mouth.
just be a little treat for Adeline and me.
I guess. Like,
This
is my
will be
Discord?
every time.
I mean, you like
I mean,
we can understand.
Something I say, you sound like a nerd from The Simpsons.
That's good because I had some comic book content I brought to the table for the podcast today.
Great. It's
You do.
it's thematic.
Is my you could do like a voice changer on Discord. Did I turn it on accident?
Who's-
Didn't I nerd it on?
Did I turn it on?
I really like the one.
Okay, hold on. Bear with me. Bear
Yeah,
with me
we'll
on
just
the
try to
stream.
match your pitch. Wait.
No, don't.
Yeah. We'll just all slowly get higher and
Like,
higher.
I
I like the scene where
Voice changer.
in today's geopolitical
Oh, wait, say that
climate, I
again.
don't know.
Say what again?
I think you're back to normal now.
Am I back to normal now?
You're
Maybe
back
not.
to normal now.
I
kind
don't
of.
know.
Where's the bit
What
where
do
you
you
can
sound
do
like?
the pitch shifter on Discord?
You
I
sound
have no
like
idea.
7-year-old Jackson.
I don't remember what your real voice sounds like anymore. It's just erased from my memory.
Yeah, maybe this is just what I sound like, you guys. You fucking jerks.
Yeah, my ears have fun. We
It's
just
actually
both
been lower
just now
every other time.
realized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how.
Oh well.
I don't know what that is. I'll try hanging up and coming back in.
You're gonna mess up the format.
What's up?
You
How
messed
am
it up.
Oh yeah, that's your voice.
I'm back to normal now.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
Okay. I did mess up the format. What the fuck? God damn it.
You just left it.
This is the worst fucking stream in the world. We're so bad at this. Now everybody has to watch me fucking fix it.
You don't have your camera turned on, just so you know, if you thought that you did.
Okay.
If you thought you did, you don't.
Oh,
Is it
fuck!
better now?
Oh.
It fixed itself when I did that. God damn it.
you dumb idiot. You dumb dummy.
God
You
damn
blew
it.
it all up. You idiots.
You blew it up.
This stream sucks.
You big dumb animals.
Unsubscribe, please.
What do you like about this?
I
The
wish.
format?
You know
If
what?
so, I'm sorry.
I hope today's my Groundhog Day.
You hope it's today.
Live this day over
I hope
and
I
over.
wake up tomorrow at 4:30 in the morning and I see that my computer screen's cracked. Well, internally. It was an internal crack. So it's fine. It's
We all
not fine.
internally
Did you,
crack.
like, drop it, or did you just, like, open it up
No.
and you're like, oh, well?
I just opened it up and they're like, if there's any pressure ever, like, they're saying it's just probably like a buildup of like tiny little cracks that eventually, like, I think I might have shut it too hard or something. That's
forcefully.
what they were saying.
You're too mad.
Might
You
have
were
been.
too distressed about something you
Yeah,
saw.
honest, all the time.
Well, you just drank a 9/11, so.
I literally IV. I have an IV of just like straight espresso pumping into my veins.
Yeah. And it was only $4.99, so I mean, it's a good deal.
And then all of the add-ons are free. Whipped cream?
Yeah.
Wow.
What if, okay, wait, okay. Shark Tank. Good morning, sharks. Today I'm here to pitch for you Subway, but it's coffee. You walk in and they've got all the ingredients out there, and you like, what do you want? And you'll be like, coffee or milk or tea. And they'll start with the tea, then you like move up 6 inches, and they're like, okay, what kind of flavors do you want? And it's all free, and you can put them all in. And then at the end, there's like a blender. Maybe you get to push the button. Maybe you get to blend it yourself. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that's
Jackson,
how...
you can put whatever you want on a
That's how
coffee
coffee
when you
shops
order
work.
it. If you were
just,
like,
No, different drinks are different prices.
if
Yeah,
you were like, I
probably.
would like some sprinkles on my coffee, they would do that for you. I promise you.
No, I'm saying it's
Okay.
like the Subway mod pizza model of restaurant,
Okay.
where everything's just laid out in front of you, and you get to pick and choose, and there's no added
So you
cost for any of the ingredients.
So you start with a base,
Right.
an espresso base. That's probably, but like if you
Or
get an
tea.
Americano,
Exactly.
that's you're getting espresso and water is free
True.
essentially. But then if you're
Not
getting
in
a
this
latte,
economy.
it's espresso and a bunch of milk, and milk costs money. It makes sense that a latte is gonna cost more than an Americano.
Right, but it's built into your business model. Fucking grilled chicken costs more
Okay.
than lettuce does. And tell that to Mod Pizza.
I think this is an idea,
When you're
Jackson. I
making
think you just have to go to the froyo model.
Like,
There
so
is like
saying-
depending on what you do, the
Okay.
price is different, but you can put whatever the fuck you want on that bitch.
Oh.
Coffee
So
by
I'm
weight.
saying your base is you have espresso. There's a surplus if you do like a latte, right?
That's
Or
not my
what?
pick. You're just coming up with a different, worse idea that is what coffee shops already are.
No,
I'm
yours
trying
is
to pick
bad.
something new.
Your
Yours is
pitch
bad,
is not
Jackson.
gonna make money.
Keisha. When
You're
you go to Mod
throwing
Pizza,
away. How much money is it gonna cost you? You're just throwing milk away.
Keisha, when you
Pizza
go to Mod
costs different
Pizza,
than a little pizza at Mod.
stop. It's not about sizes. You order different sizes of drinks, they'd be different prices, obviously. You go to Mod Pizza, you pay, there's an entry fee for this pizza.
Yes.
You can load up on whatever the fuck you want. You can put as much grilled chicken as you possibly want on there. Grilled chicken, a very expensive ingredient. That is all factored into the price of the pizza. A buffet, you don't walk into a buffet and say like, that's a horrible business model because different foods cost different prices. Obviously, it's factored into the price
Okay.
of the engagement.
Okay,
I'm
what's
saying
the-
with coffee
okay,
like
what is-
that.
How long buffets are doing.
I need to hear the full pitch because I think it's a bad idea so far.
Why?
So
What's
are you
bad
saying
about
like?
it?
Are you saying okay?
It's
So
because a
if
salad costs different than a pizza. different drinks are not just different kinds of pizzas. Different things go into it.
And also, it's the same amount of labor if you're going all of this chicken, but if you're doing like, I'm gonna get 8 shots of espresso, then you're going bam, bam, set it, grind it, blah, 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 you know, all of those things that it takes to make an espresso shot. Then you're doing that 4 times, plus steaming milk,
All the
whatever,
Here's
make
what
a
I'm
little
saying.
flour.
Here's what I'm saying. Every argument you're telling me is built around different things have a different amount of value inherently when you're putting them in a coffee drink, which is true.
Yes, okay. So tell me,
here's
give
the
me your
thing,
full pitch.
Because
Give me
it
your
would be
full
factored
pitch.
into it would probably be like a little bit more expensive. It's all about like playing averages, right? It's how Mod Pizza does it. Mod Pizza,
If I'm okay,
the price
if
of
I'm-
the price of the pizza factors in like how much toppings a person might put on it. It's possible that I could go to Mod Pizza and I could make a pizza that would be worth more than the cost I'm paying for it. But the thing is that would be very rare, and people are not doing that on the reg. It's all factored in because I'm sure more often than not, people just come in and they buy a cheese pizza. So it evens out. That's how Mod Pizza literally works, okay? So if I go to a coffee
He fucking
shop...
gets a cheese pizza in mine.
I don't care, Adeline. Some people do. People get 2 or 3 toppings on a pizza. So I go into this coffee shop called Jackson's Great Coffee Shop Idea, Sharks, and you pay for a coffee. It's like $5 for a 16-ounce coffee.
Okay.
And you say, what do you want in it? We could put this in it. We could do that to it. You pick out different things. It's like Subway. It's like Mod Pizza. You go through. It's pretty quick. When you're done, you have the coffee right there ready for you. It's all very easy. And the price of the drink is factored such that it might be a little bit more expensive than a regular coffee. It's true. But it would factor in the amount of ingredients that it's possible to put in there. And you're playing an average. The only thing that's going to change is your profit margin on each one. But you're still going to be making money on every coffee.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's how I feel about this though.
Okay.
Like a Mod Pizza. This is a place where if you want a pizza, you're getting it quick and you're getting it fresh.
Right.
Like that's nice.
Yes.
If I walk into this store and I'm 13-year-old one of my middle school students who sees like one of those weird Starbucks Tik Tok drinks that's like 16 pumps of
Right.
sweet whatever. And like that's probably gonna be worth it. But if I'm walking in, I want a black coffee with like a splash of oat milk, which is usually my order.
Right.
I'm not gonna go there. That's a terrible deal for me.
Well,
$5?
then don't go there.
I know, but then so you're not gonna get your leveling out cheese pizza, plain cheese pizza, no piles of chicken. You're only gonna get weird TikTok trends.
I simply don't think that's true.
What
people
makes
will
me
pay for the
a
experience.
black coffee drinker? Why would I go in there for the experience of going through the bar and saying I don't want anything?
First of all, you're talking as if it wouldn't be very good coffee. First of all. Second of all,
said there's very good coffee literally all over the city.
You're underestimating me.
So much good coffee everywhere.
different coffee tastes different at different places. Maybe you just like Jackson's Good Coffee. Fuckhead. Why are you being so mean to me? Okay, so not only that.
Hey, you for your Shark Tank experience. You think Mr. Wonderful is gonna be nicer than me? I don't think.
I feel like I'm
helping
expressing
you.
my idea quite well. And also,
I could spin around in my chair.
I mean, that's the only thing I would say about a black
they all have their
coffee.
back to you and then they spin around if they
Right.
like your idea.
But,
It's the voice.
like, but most people are not black coffee people. Most people are like, oh, I'll have a mocha. Plus, Kezia, you're not going to a coffee shop for a black coffee. You don't walk into Starbucks and ask for a black coffee. You get one at like 7-Eleven or whatever.
Yes, they do, Jackson. Yes, they do.
Okay, whatever. Well, you're wasting your fucking
People
money.
get coffee. People get coffee. I don't think you know enough about the coffee industry. Okay,
You don't
here's
think
what
most
I think.
people when they
Here's
walk
what
into a
I think.
coffee
Welcome to No Nerds Allowed.
No, we're not done here.
On this podcast, we talk about movies, we swear.
Do
You
you, not
just
think
need
that
to-
a
you
lot
need
of
like a
people
TikTok-
walk in and
You need
order
like
a
a TikTok
mocha?
sponsor or something.
Look, all right. All
So
right.
they're like a mocha. So you need to have like you need to do that mod
40
pizza
minutes
thing.
now.
Yes.
The mod pizza thing where you're like, I recommend a mocha with 2 pumps of peppermint, 1 pump of gingerbread, and
Right.
1 pump of something
And they've all
out of the woods.
They've all got
Is
fun
this
names.
still worth $5?
You're like, this is the
Yeah.
the strawberry
All right.
Hiroshima.
I'll invest.
It's 1 shot of espresso and 9 shots of strawberry with milk in it, and people will be all over it. It's an experience. They're paying for the experience and the variety of the flavors. It's a curated experience, a curated menu.
Say your name, Jackson.
Okay, so hey, what's up, guys? My name is Jackson McMurray. Good idea haver.
Adeline, and I'm dying inside. And my last name is McMurray.
What's wrong with you?
My name is Kezia Rhodes, and I drink black coffee.
And this is No Nerds Allowed. Okay. We're moving on. But
Anyway,
we're moving
hello,
on in
hello,
the
guys.
podcast, but
More
I will
like
never
Black
move
Widow.
on. Black coffee, more like Black Widow.
I said I'd invest.
I'm repeating you. Okay. Black Widow today. So we were discussing, like, we were figuring out our schedule. We sort of realized that, like, we've been doing this podcast for, I guess, God, like 3 years now. Because when we recorded our first episode, Ralph breaks.
By now.
Say again. What'd you say, Adeline? What's wrong? Okay, is something going wrong?
I hear me.
I can hear you. You're lagging quite bad. Say something to me after I say this. Go.
Saying this exactly after you stop talking.
Okay, I guess this is good enough. Okay, we'll live. But like, so we've been doing this for a long time, and Adeline and I, especially, but you also, Kezia, but you weren't there the whole time. That's why I'm not necessarily bringing you into this. Adeline and I have always been like big Marvel people, and like, you know, in the snooty film space, that's not a cool thing to be anymore. But we don't care because, like,
It was at one point.
right. Like we are like so into these Marvel movies and we like them so much, and for some reason, and we're like so great at talking about them. Like in our lives, we often see Marvel movies together, and then we talk about them forever. Like we're like really invested in this whole thing. And for some reason, for the last like 3 years, we never even considered that we should do a Marvel movie on this podcast as it was coming out. Like we were doing this show when like Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man were all coming out, and we just like didn't think to bother. So I don't know, but we're doing it now. We're jumping in now for phase 4, I guess.
Also, I mean, you were doing the like study in Marvel for a little bit,
That's true.
and that might have been like a that.
Maybe.
Are we double dipping? Is this a
Right.
double dip?
That's
Mo?
true. I think we did think about that. I totally forgot about that.
And
I feel like that
I guess
was
for
a
me,
combo.
it was more like people talk about Marvel movies so much just on
Right.
the internet in general that I thought like we don't like we can have a discussion about it, but like as these things are coming out, especially, I feel like the like conversation is just like so oversaturated that sometimes it's a little bit better to like wait and like look
Right.
back on the conversation and be like, okay, here's what people incorrectly said or said a lot and I
Right.
disagree with or blah 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 blah.
Because everybody's
Yeah.
wrong about
There's
Marvel.
a
Also-
lot of like movie discourse, especially with like classic movies or like beloved movies, is people just misremembering things and then saying that that's how the movie went,
Right.
which is my biggest fucking pet peeve.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. Like it's mainly one of the biggest reasons why I hate whenever somebody criticizes a Disney princess movie, because they just like misremember the movie
Mhm.
and then project that as fact.
Right.
And it's just
Yeah.
fucking not true. They're like, oh, fucking Cinderella killed a guy, so I think Disney's pretty problematic. And it's like, fucking, no, she didn't.
Right.
That rat, he fucking dies. So I think it's not very feminist of them. It's like,
Also, in
watch
Cinderella
the movie,
2,
remember what happens in it.
in Cinderella 2, like, Jacques becomes a human for a little bit.
Whoa.
And I think he gets, like, a girlfriend and stuff.
Is
like,
he hot?
He lives a good life.
Is he hot?
No. It's been a while since I've watched Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True.
Right.
But I feel like when I was younger, I was like, damn,
Weird
he's gonna
little
get
variety
it.
hour one.
Like, he was, like, very kind and sweet, you know?
Okay.
Like, I feel like that's my type, you know? So
He was
I
like a
could go
nice-
for it. He didn't
like-
look too much like...
That's my
He'd be like, you know how Remy would be a handsome man? He's like that.
Got it. He's a nice, polite little rat boy.
He wasn't hot, but he was sweet. He was
Okay.
cute.
I feel like we're having a really hard
hey,
time
Pete,
with the flow of
Pete,
conversation right
Keisha,
now.
this is the Baker erasure. What about the Baker
That's-
who
well,
falls in love
that's
with
a-
Anastasia?
He's not a mouse, though. That's a different part. That's a different segment.
He is an adorable big man, and I love
He is,
him.
yes. He is also another, you're like, crumbs. Maybe if I get this cake decorating job, maybe I'll be the sweet baker.
I'm looking at
That's the goal.
Give me just a second, guys. I'm looking at my settings because I feel like our flow of conversation is
Alright.
way out of whack today, and I'm trying to figure out if there's something I can do about it.
It was also
I
out of
think
whack.
part of it is just my internet shitting the bed.
Well, I know last week that you were lagging for me, and sometimes I would try to just match when your lips stopped and just guess what you were gonna say.
Right.
But most of the time, I went back and listened to it, and it just sounds like I'm not listening to you.
I know, it's so awful.
Like, like sometimes it's fine, but sometimes it just seems like I'm being a bitch, and I'm just like, I'm like just interrupting you, but really I'm just
That's one
reacting to what
episode.
you said 5
Exactly.
seconds ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember what episode it was, but I listened back and just like our timing was off just enough that like I would start talking at the end of like your sentence, Keisha. I'm like, God, I sound like such a bitch. I'm like not even waiting for Keisha to stop talking.
Like that's not happening in real time though. What can you do? Also, I just feel like we need to mention that the first Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True segment is when Cinderella, she's learning to be a princess, and she's not very good at it because she's a servant for so long, and she's not good at like taking or giving directions. She's not selfish enough. And then at one point those maids are like, cream or eggshell, and then she's like, they're the same color, and they're like, you have to make a decision, and she's like, pink, how about pink? And that really stuck with me as a child. So
She's a girl boss, yeah.
eggshell or cream, and you're like, they're the same color.
You're saying? You just need to think outside the box. Think outside the bun.
Okay, well, we'll just do our best
Exactly.
here. We'll do our best here today on this day.
We're always
I feel
doing
like we
our-
cannot properly start a conversation about Black Widow with not first addressing the fact that Disney once again wants to take $30 of my hard-earned money to watch their thing. And $30 on top of the $10 subscription fee. They want to take $40 out of the mouths of my children so that I can watch their fun new Marvel movie.
You could have
it's-
just taken a bus to the movie
It's
theater,
atrocious.
I will say.
She was busy.
I couldn't, because I don't know how the bus system works here, Jackson.
It's so easy.
But
Okay.
also, now your parents can watch it. You can watch it again if you
It's
want
true.
to,
It's true.
and you would
I
probably
can
want
watch
to
it
because
again one more time. I think I would have to watch it nonstop until my rental period expired in order for it to be worth the amount of money that
It
I had to pay
actually-
for it.
The Disney rentals don't expire. You get to have it forever. That's true. So that is actually kind of
Okay.
enhances the value
That's
for
better.
me.
yeah.
Yeah. At least, it
Better.
is
but
accessible until it becomes
it's
accessible to
still-
everyone.
American dollars.
Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Adeline. You were telling us how much you really like this movie, and I think that like
I
in
do
general,
really love this movie.
like in general, the three of us are not tired of the whole Marvel thing in the way that a lot of other people are. Like there are certain things that like are obviously like shortcomings of the Marvel universe, but they're like things we sort of accepted and moved on from, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I just feel like I need to like defend the fact that we like still really like and stick up for almost all of these movies, and
Yeah.
maybe it's just like me being too online, feeling like I have to express myself that way, but like
Touch some grass, Jackson.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
okay.
I just need to touch some grass. But like this movie, I think to me it just like really and completely solidly works. It didn't like really exceed my expectations. It didn't disappoint me. I was just like, I walked in, I sat down, and I watched Scarlett Johansson do her good thing for slightly less. That was one thing that did impress me. It was shorter than I was expecting, which I did like. It's just a little under. It's
it felt like just
hours.
right. It felt like just right.
But other than that, I was just like
I didn't think that we were being super quick about anything. I didn't feel like anything was dragging on. It just felt like, we did it, and we did what we wanted to do, and this is how much time that it took. It's great, excellent.
I really liked the movie. I thought it was like, it felt fun. It was funny. There was a lot of heart to it. Like, Florence Pugh can just like do no wrong in my eyes, and she has not so far, and she just freaking murdered this part.
She really did.
So good.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that is the thing that like literally is the key to Marvel's success, is how like Marvel is really and truly like an actor's franchise in a way that like no other franchise ever really has been. And like the bedrock that the Marvel universe is built on is just how smart their casting directors are, you know? Because like it just seems like every time they're able to pluck just the perfect people to play different characters out of nowhere. And like I mean, not out of nowhere, like they're obviously successful actors already, but like they can always just like pick out the perfect people at just the right time, and everything just fucking fits together, and the characters like always have great chemistry, and like they're written in such a way that their characters are really like bright and come through really cleanly. And like across every Marvel project, even the ones that don't really work, that is like the thing that they have never ever not completely nailed. I think it's just like casting great people to do good jobs and give fun performances in cool roles. Like that is the bare minimum of what a Marvel movie is doing, no matter what happens.
And maybe like Kevin Feige just has like a little secret superpower where he's like, oh yeah, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord.
Right.
This is gonna make millions. Like,
dude,
Did you know that Glenn Howerton was going to play?
Let's go.
Did you know Glenn Howerton was going to play Star-Lord?
I feel like I did. Yeah.
Which would have been
I
so
saw
fucking
that at some
different.
point. Like, that would be bad. It would have been.
I don't want to say it would be bad. I think it would just
Howerton.
be a different movie. Like, I think that would be a very different movie.
Yeah, that's true.
A much different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like
going into...
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the, like, lightheartedness of Star-Lord.
Again.
We love lag! Shout out to
What is
lag!
this? Okay.
What if I...
What if? Did you see the what if trailer?
We could talk about that. It's all Marvel
See the
stuff.
what if trailer. What if I tried hanging up and then logging back on?
I think...
And it won't mess up the setup, I promise.
I think the problem is with me. Although, I don't know, Kezia and I are pretty tight.
Always the problem.
So, maybe not.
I don't know. You're lagging hecka for me, bro.
Yeah.
But also, I will say, when your
Editing this
chipmunk
podcast.
voice was there, it wasn't a problem. So I don't know why.
I think...
Okay, so I'm gonna hang up real quick and then come back on and see if that fixes it.
Okay. I doubt it, but you may do that.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up my activity monitor, seeing if my like hard drive is getting overloaded, because that can really bog it down. It doesn't seem to be the case.
That help even a little bit?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to spend like 90% of this stream trying to troubleshoot something that's like not an existential threat to the podcast, but
Fine. Well,
let me just try one more thing
to just jump back into it.
Well, wait, hold on, Adeline.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I can streamline, if I can like empty my trash or like clean up my desktop. Just see if that on itself will.
Or like get the cereal off your floor.
Yeah, like get the cereal off my floor, maybe.
I'll just let's tell some Black Widow facts. Fun fact: Black Widow spider is the only spider to have 9 legs. Fun fact: the Black Widow
not true.
has so much poison in its body that it could kill 10 rhinoceri, but it has a mouth that's so small that it cannot bite a rhinoceros.
That's not true. It wouldn't even kill me. A Black Widow wouldn't even kill me if I went to a hospital.
The Black Widow. Fun fact: the Black Widow was the first spider to appear in a Disney Channel original movie. Fun fact: the Black Widow is named after a Black Beauty, the horse. I feel like those were pretty good fake facts that I just came up with off the top of my head.
Those are fake?
Right? Oh,
Kezia?
no.
Did you just go on the internet and tell lies?
Yeah, as I was saying them, I was typing them and publishing them on Reddit. So,
yeah.
And everyone knows Reddit is a source
But those
for
are
truth.
just theories. You don't have to fact check those.
These are my Black Widow theories. We just go theories on Marvel's Black Widow, and you're just like, do you think, guys, like, if a Black Widow bit you, you would actually die?
You think, like, how could, like, if you, like, didn't go to the hospital, though, if you just, like, sat around?
Yeah, you're like, what if it was, like, 10 Black Widows all at once? Then what would happen?
I think our lag is better.
Yeah, I disconnected my hard drive, and that seems...
At least between me and Kezia.
Yeah, it seems to help a little bit. But I'll try to troubleshoot a little bit later. But, so, okay, I wanted to ask, have all three of you guys, how much have you guys been keeping up with the Disney Plus shows?
Also,
Not
you just
even
included yourself
after WandaVision.
You included yourself into the all three of you guys count, which made me laugh.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
But I've seen 2 episodes of Loki. I did not pay very good attention to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So then when Julia Louis-Dreyfus showed up, spoiler alert, at the end of this movie, I was like, hey, but then I couldn't remember what she did.
I had no clue who she was. So
yeah, she's in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, okay, here's what I'll say. Because I've been keeping up. I love all these Disney Plus shows. I think that, like, I'm a little bit unimpressed by Loki. And with a little bit of distance, like, WandaVision, I think was, like, a really fun experience, like, while it was going on. But at the end of the day, I thought that, like, all the non-sitcom stuff just felt really plain to me, and it, like, I didn't think it was, like, that great of a mystery, because
it just wasn't the same energy.
Yeah, it wasn't the same energy, and, like, it tried to be, like, a mystery, and you, like, kind of knew what was going on, like, from the beginning. It's just, like, kind of an obvious premise, you know? But, like, Falcon and Winter Soldier fucking rules so hard. I'm, like, obsessed with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, if I were gonna do, like, a new ranking of, like, Marvel stuff, you can't even just say movies anymore, because now I'm talking about TV shows, but, like, it would probably be, like, you know, Winter Soldier, Iron Man 3, Infinity War, like, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Because I think, like, it is the only one that doesn't... I feel like these TV shows really are bogged down by their slightly lower budgets than a movie in the big, goopy CGI stuff, you know? And I think that it's not only that it doesn't, like, not to say that it doesn't look good, but I think that those kinds of sequences are really hard to do. And when you're trying to do them on a TV budget and on a TV time frame, just, like, the on-set experience has got to be pretty rough and pretty rushed and pretty, like, hard to do. So I think that it's not even necessarily that, like, it doesn't look good. It's just, like, whenever people are, like, running around in, like, CGI landscapes or whatever, the performances feel a little less interesting, and like the direction feels like it sort of denigrates, and like all these things like don't quite do that. But Falcon and Winter Soldier is like so tight and so great, and there's none of the big CGI whatever. I mean, there is a little bit like when he's like flying and some of the action sequences and stuff, but like I think that series like really and truly like has like, I guess I shouldn't be talking too much about it because I did talk about it pretty in depth in that video I made, but like it feels like it has like something to say more than like any of the other ones do. It's like really like about like real world issues in a way that these Marvel movies usually aren't. And like, I just think it feels great, and I love the production design, and I think, you know, it's just the perfect Marvel thing of like casting the perfect people to do perfect things. And like Wyatt Russell's so great, and what's his name? Zemo. Daniel Bruhl is so great, and like obviously like Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are great, but just like everybody's killing it, and I think it's so great. But I guess I don't know. I just wanted to check in and like see what you guys are feeling about it, but it sounds like you haven't really been watching much.
That's what's interesting is that I just talked to Elon, friend of the podcast, who's driving to a wedding right now. So maybe he's listening, maybe he's not. But we went and saw Black Widow together last night, and then we talked a little bit about the like Marvel TV shows that have been coming out, because we're both really pumped about What If. Like I feel like What If was one of my selling points for just Disney Plus as a whole. I was like,
absolutely.
Oh, damn, I gotta see that. But for, like he said that Loki like is, if they stick the landing, like that is the best thing that Marvel's done for a while. Like that's what he said to me last night. And I feel that way about like WandaVision, like with its flaws, I feel like it was just so different and so unique and like hit my sensibilities that I was like, I don't even like feel that compelled to go out and watch these other ones because I love this one so much. Like it struck me so differently. So it is cool that like all of these shows like have like very like excited people behind them. Like everyone like it reaches lots of different people.
I mean, that's the thing that we've talked about on the show before. Like part of the magic of these Marvel movies is that they really do strike different people in different ways. Because like almost any like major franchise, you can like talk to somebody and there's just sort of like a general idea of like, you know, which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones, you know? And like, you know, you talk to somebody like, oh, obviously like Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 are good and all the rest of them are kind of bad.
Love Thor 2.
And like, you know, everybody
big
loves
Thor 2, the Dark World fan.
But you know, there's like a shape, like Star Wars.
Thor 2.
Yeah, but like you talk about Star Wars, you talk about Alien, you talk about, you know, all these things. Like the ones that people like and the ones that people don't like are usually, you can line up with like 90% of people. But like Marvel movies and Marvel TV shows, these projects, because they all have such a strong like baseline competency, it always just like comes down to which ones people like really, really vibe with, you know? And like it feels like every person you talk to has like totally wild, totally varying differences and like which of these things they get really excited about. Because like me personally, I really love like the Russo brothers Avengers and Captain America movies, but I know that a lot of people fucking hate those. They think those are like the most boring, the most bland of all of them.
Oh my god, that's like the cold take, is to be like, fuck the Russo brothers. So I'm like, but they do good. They did a good job with those characters.
They'll be like, I hate the Russos, but I loved Avengers Infinity War. And you're like, well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I don't know. Who's the captain of the ship? I don't know what to say.
And you know, it's like some people are more excited about Guardians of the Galaxy than some other people, and like there are like Iron Man 3 is a weirdly polarizing movie that some people don't like and some people love, and like these movies all have their own good. Like they all have their own weird like cult followings in a way. Like I don't know, it's such an interesting franchise in that way.
Yeah, my grandpa he's 94. I've talked about him before. And he just like, he's at that point where he likes what he likes and he's like, I just don't understand why everyone likes the Marvel movies. I don't like any of them. And my uncle also is like, I don't get why people like them. And my dad just went Iron Man? Iron Man?
Right.
And then he was like, Iron Man's great! Guardians of the Galaxy? Like, he was just like, I think you're literally the only two people in the world who don't like a Marvel movie.
Right,
like, there's not one where,
A single
where you're
one.
like,
Yeah.
where you're like, I didn't like Black Panther because I didn't understand why they went to Asia halfway through. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's a dumb reason not to like a movie.
Dumb take.
Not being able to understand w's happening because you're 94, fair enough. Fair enough.
But
It's not
You've
the
seen
movie's
what
fault.
you need to see.
right. And like, you know, it's just sort of the thing where it's like, because this movie to me is like the perfect like indicator of like how like a really baseline Marvel movie.
Indicator.
Just like it's like the perfect like benchmark for like a Marvel movie. You know, it's like, oh, you know, it's a beloved character
I
that you
understood
really
that.
like. It's like
It was just funny that you said. You just said indicator, like indicator
Yeah,
or
you can
something
say
instead of
indicator.
indicator.
I don't know,
I'm
whatever.
sorry. Indicator. It's a word.
But,
Sorry, I'm
but
sorry I
you pronounce it that
interrupted
way.
you.
I don't care.
Sorry.
But it's like, you know, I mean, like I said, like inspired casting, fun writing, kind of funny. You know, it has like characters that really jump off the screen. You can like instantly become involved in these like new people. Really sets up and like builds the world in a cool way. But it also is, you know, a little bit goopy, and every once in a while Scarlett Johansson turns into a CGI person for a minute, and you're like, I don't know about that. And like the fight choreography is like not all the way there 100% of the time. And it's just like, you know, very basic. Like there's a helicarrier at the end and there's something falling out of the sky and they punch each other, you know. And, you know, it's like the give and take. It's like exactly
That when she's
what
like
you
coming
need.
out of the building as it's exploding and falling apart. And it's like
And
the
when-
end of A Castle in the Sky.
Right.
And when she's like falling and she like gets the parachute on Yelena, her sister, and then that cyborg. Oh no!
Right.
Here the cyborg comes. That's pretty fun.
Master comes. Yeah.
And I like that fight scene where they're
My-
both choking each other out with the curtains.
Right,
That
yeah,
was really
that
fun.
is good.
My big fear coming into this movie. Well, first of all, should have had a Black Widow movie maybe 10 years ago. Is
Right.
one. It's like the first time we're having a female superhero lead in the MCU, and it's after we've done everything we want with the main story, and now we're just having fun with our characters. Now that's when she gets to be the lead. So it's like, in that sense, I think it's like a little bit too little too late when it comes to like feminism in the MCU. My big fear was that this whole movie was just gonna be the one scene from Endgame where all the women are standing in the one frame together. That's what I thought the whole movie was gonna be. Like, look at us.
You're like, girls stick
And
together,
women.
and
I
this
think
is a
that's
good
fine.
one.
You guys are too mean about it.
It feels to.
I like that scene too, but I thought that was gonna be the whole thing. Where it's just
Right.
like very performative. Lack of
my
anything
problem-
really going on, just like, look at women.
Yeah.
My problem with that scene is that it happens in Infinity War also. There are just fewer women in that movie, where all the women that are there for the Infinity War battle all group up and fight the one woman, Thanos' daughter, that's there still. And it feels
That felt
weird
more
and
natural while they were doing that.
yeah, but it's still like
Or
very
like this
obvious.
is just the people who are around.
So
But
you're,
it's still like, oh, it just happens to be all the women. And then when they did it again, it was like, how is Peter Parker gonna do it? He's all alone. And they're like, he's not alone. He's got us, the heroes. And they just pan to all the women. It just feels like, it feels like,
Unnatural.
I don't know. It feels unnatural. It feels like they're pandering. It feels like they're like, I don't know, like, they're like, because women are also girl bosses. I just don't like. I'm like, I don't need to be.
Also,
you don't need to
I
be
misspoke
pedantic.
before because I forgot about Captain Marvel. But can you blame me for forgetting about Captain Marvel?
No, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, this is the first movie that is directed solely by a woman, because they pulled the weird move where it was like a man and a woman directing team to do Captain Marvel, which is like, I don't know. It's such a weird thing because it's like, how much do you choose to value that?
We're gonna make sure there's someone there to help her.
Well, but it's not that, because they're like a directing team
Yeah.
who's worked together before. They're like a duo that are established, but like, and it's this weird thing where it's like these are creative fields, and you have to be like, you gotta like weigh like how you want to fulfill this role, and like how you present that to the world versus like the people you're interested in and the people who have interesting visions, So it's like, how do you? I don't know. I just think about it a lot. Like the decision to have it be like a man and woman team as opposed to just like hiring a woman. And there was some drama on this movie too because, one of the things that's kind of well documented about Marvel movies is that when they approach directors, they have some sequences planned out already. Like you don't necessarily, when you're a Marvel director, you don't have like complete control over everything because Marvel has an in-house team of like storyboard artists and like graphic designers who are like, so we're thinking about Black Panther 2. Let's just riff. Maybe he's in a casino and they do this and they just like
what
storyboard.
the colors are gonna be.
Yeah, what the colors are gonna be. They storyboard an action sequence and they're like, and so then they approach somebody and they're like, what's up, Taika Waititi? You can have like oversight on the script and you can do all these things, but just a heads up, like we're starting pre-production on this sequence already. Like whatever you do, you got to make sure he ends up here so we can do this, And it was just, and the reason I bring it up is because that was like one of the weird like Twitter dramas that happened while they were figuring out this movie, because there was another female director they approached. I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Kathy Yan, but who turned it down because, and then she did like a very public interview about it afterwards because she said like, they had all these things ready for me and I didn't like that. Like if I were going to do this, I would want to be in charge of the action, And a lot of people who just like didn't know that that's the way Marvel has always done these things just like took that to mean that they didn't think a woman could direct action, so they did it for her already, They just like didn't let her do action because they didn't think a woman could handle it, which is just like not the truth. They just don't trust any director to do that because they have their own in-house guys. But like, it's just, it is one of those odd situations where it's like, I forgot what the end of what my point that I was circling was, but
I think it's like one of those times where, like people get mad. Like they get mad because they want more women to be directing, but they're like channeling it only at this one movie instead of just like as a whole. And then you don't care afterwards. Like people, it's like the same where like if one celebrity does like blackface or yellowface, people will get mad for like 10 minutes and they'll be like, oh, classic, you didn't have a black person direct Black Panther 2, like of course. And then you don't get mad that like for the rest of the 364 days of the year that like it is just as much a problem that people of color are not directing movies. It's just as much a problem that women aren't like directing a proportionate amount of movies that are being made, especially like big blockbuster movies. So it feels similar to like the In the Heights like clapback that happened where like not enough like dark-skinned Latino people were in the movie, which is true. But when you're only channeling at this like small fraction of like already underrepresented people, then like, and instead of just keeping like, if you care about this, then like care about it all the time instead of just like getting mad at something that was already created. And like I feel like that's what I'm getting from you.
It's another thing of the like hating, being so critical of things that are made by the people that are trying to get more representation that just like kills everything that person is trying to do. Like movie with Latina representation made but like by people who like know what it's like to be Latina, and Latina people are all involved, but they didn't do it right, so we have to cancel it, so we're gonna stop any chance of them doing any good because they didn't do it exactly how we wanted it to do.
Right.
Or like we have a female director, but she doesn't do it's not feminist enough. She doesn't do blah 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 enough. So
Right.
we're gonna cut it off at the head and we're not gonna let her do anything anymore. It's like, so you're so critical of the thing that you want to like the thing that you want to help and the thing that you want to boost, but you're so critical of it that nobody wants to do it anymore.
Right.
Like this is a classic thing with like indie gay things. It happens all the time with like TV shows and video games. If the representation isn't perfect, it just gets annihilated on the spot and it never gets to be anything because it wasn't perfect. And I think that mindset just for anything is just super harmful.
And it's because, and I think we're moving in a really good direction with that as far as Marvel movies go, because like, you know, I think about Captain Marvel and I think that the fact that it's the first female superhero and it's the first one directed by a woman, it feels like that movie has a fucking gigantic chip on its shoulder a lot of the time about it, you know? Like, there are things that work about that movie, and I don't hate that movie, but that's like an element
they literally
of it you
have a
can't
whole
look past.
chip on her shoulder sequence.
Yeah. And, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish you would have just played this straight and treated this like any other movie. I feel like that would have been better. But now that we've, like, moved past that, we got that, like, you know, first one, the big important one that's gonna, you know, be the Rosetta Stone for female whatever, at least as far as they can tell. Now it, like, doesn't feel like quite as big of a deal. Like, Kate Shortland directing Black Widow, people have, like, mentioned it, and, you know, it is, like, a point of interest, but it's not something that feels like something that's really important. And the movie doesn't feel like it thinks that way, you know? Like, it certainly does have, like, a feminist streak and, like, speaks to
and then it's better because of that.
Yeah, and it, you know, it speaks to very particular women's issues in a lot of different ways, but it doesn't feel like it has a chip on its shoulder, you know? And I think, like, now that we're moving forward, now that we've got Chloe Zhao on Eternals,
like part of it,
it's like, it's by the time we get there, when it's like, you know, the third one, when it's like this thing, and not only the fact that Chloe Zhao has just like really established herself as an auteur just in her own right outside of any other, you know, political factors, like, by the time we get to Eternals, I doubt very much that we're going to be dedicating a lot of energy to the fact that it's directed by a woman, outside of, you know, people having discussions about it like we are, you know? So I just think it is only going to get better as this thing chugs along.
And I feel like I don't want to have a 4-hour podcast where we don't even talk about the Black Widow movie at all. Like what happens in the movie and stuff like that. Because what I love about this movie is that it is very much a feminist movie. Like, it passes the Bechdel test. There's so many women in this as villains, as heroes, as flawed, complicated characters. And that's what's awesome. Is that, like, the mom character, she is such a good character. I like her so much. She is, like, such, like, I just, like, she's so, like, complicated and kind of, like, lives in this gray area, and she, like, kind of redeems herself in the same way that Black Widow is always kind of navigated. That the point is supposed to be is that she's very much a bad person who is trying to be a good person, and, like, what does that mean, and does that even matter? I think is a really compelling story, and to talk about that with characters is just really good. Especially because Marvel has... I was going to say Marvel has a streak, but it's not really a streak when your only other example is Captain Marvel, of, like, having, like, the flawless, strong woman.
Right.
Yeah.
So to be exploring these characters that are very morally gray and also women is just awesome.
Well, yeah,
because
I think
my original point... Sorry. My original point was that it wasn't just about sexism. To be fair, I have not seen Captain Marvel yet in full length, but I've just heard people talking about it since the second that it came out, so I feel like I can have an opinion about it, and if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me. But, like, it feels like it's just kind of, like, about sexism. Like, you don't, like, people look down on you because you're a girl, and that's it. That's what the movie's about. Saying that?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like, not, like, textually about sexism, but it is very much, like...
It kind of is.
She, like in the plot, nobody's, like, telling her she can't do things because she's a girl, but it's very much about this spunky young girl who's constantly being told what to do, and she's gonna fly in the face of everything and reject the authority and, you know, do what she wants and not play by people's rules, you know? In a way that's not, like, literally textually about sexism, but is clearly a response to sexism, you know, and is just about
I mean,
rising above it.
Yes. I mean, and also when she is in the Air Force, like they literally are like, "Oh, you can't do the training because you're a girl. You just fell because you're not strong enough because you're a girl." Like that does happen. I think that such a big win for Black Widow is that their main character is likable but is also fallible. Like that is with like Wonder Woman. I really loved Wonder Woman. I liked it. It was somewhere between like and love, where I was so happy, and I feel like she was for sure the strongest. Like she was just like she wasn't gonna lose any battles, but it felt like she still had growth. Whereas with Captain Marvel, I felt like they were like, wow, she's the best and she's the strongest, and even when she has that little chip on her, she's way stronger than everybody, and take that, everybody, she's got something to prove. And that I just like that's not relatable. That doesn't feel like that's not a story that I want to hear. But when Black Widow, who is like super strong and capable and like really cool, and still like falters and fails and like loses a couple of times,
shit kicked
like,
out of her,
when she's like trying to kill him like over and over again,
that's good stuff.
Like that's great.
And then awesome.
and her whole thing isn't just like, I'm a woman and I have to prove myself. Like she is like wrestling with what it means to like lose a family and find your identity in like brokenness. Like she's wrestling with the fact that like her redemption included something that like was horrible, was like she thought she murdered someone, which is like that, and like being able to forgive herself and like learn from it and change from it, like that's amazing. Like that's something that you see in other superhero movies. That's a total Tony Stark move to see how wrong you are in something and change. But like that's a huge like, and it's across the board with like superhero girls right now. Like in Supergirl, I watched that show for 4 seasons and I stopped because because I wanted it to be good, and I love Melissa Benoist because she was on Glee.
She's just like, I didn't like Supergirl at all. I watched 4 seasons and then I just called it quits. I couldn't take it anymore.
No. I did like it. I liked it at first. Because I was excited, and at first she was like, I don't know, like I'm getting used to being a superhero, and then as time went on, it was more about like, oh, you're nothing. Like everyone always talks about your cousin, but you're so great. Superman is nothing compared to you. You're so strong compared to Superman. And like she would just never be wrong about anything. Like she would just always be right. Like the whole like whatever the arc of the season was, she would know from the beginning, this person's bad or this thing is bad, and I'm gonna be proven right at the end of the time.
Then somebody would tell her no.
And like literally,
society would say she couldn't.
I'm like I'm sick of that. Like I like it when your main character is wrong at some point and learns things. Like that's cool.
No, I mean that's the whole thing. Treat it like any other movie.
My original point was that Captain Marvel was very much like just kind of about sexism, versus what I liked about this movie is that it felt way more feminist, but like weirdly more complicated. Like this movie is literally about human trafficking. It's about the abuse of young girls and how society treats young women that it doesn't think have any value. It's literally about bodily autonomy and about like birthing rights and stuff like that. Like this movie is so much more like topical and politically motivated, and like actually has like to say about feminism, even if it is under the guise of being a superhero movie. I don't think Captain Marvel has a lot to say other than girls can do it too. And I think this movie has to say, like, being a woman's fucked up sometimes, and there's a lot of problems with it. We're gonna address some of it in, like, kind of a heightened way, but, like, we're still talking about some messed up things. Like, it's kind of a joke that it's, like, the way that they play with, like, the family dynamic of, like, the shitty dad and the shitty mom and the 2 kids is just, like, so perfectly and beautifully done. That where the shitty dad's like, oh, are you on your period? And they turn around and they're like, actually, we don't have uteruses anymore, because they're, like, obviously trying to make him uncomfortable. But, like, that scene, they're like, oh, yeah, no, the people that you sent us to, they fucked us up. They literally, like, tore our uteruses out. We don't have them. It wasn't our choice. This happened to us without our consent. it's messed up, and we kind of play it off as a joke, but at the same time, there is a truth there that's really horrible and based in reality, because that happens to women, and it's just, like, this movie just has so much more to say than I feel like Captain Marvel did.
I think, like, the thing about this movie is that, like, the real meat of it is, like, the four of them, like, interacting with each other. And I feel like, because that stuff all rules, like, especially that whole sequence when they're, like, having their dinner. Like, you're just, enthralled. You're like, this is great. Like, Rachel, the cast of fucking Rachel Weisz, Florence Pugh, David Harbour?
Harbour.
Is it David? Is that his first name? Okay. David Harbour and Scarlett Johansson, like, having this, like, sit-down dinner scene where they're all Russian sleeper cells is, like, that's great. That's fucking incredible. And it's one of those things where it's, like, I kind of feel like that is where the movie was, like, really, really, really humming. And I felt like a lot of the action sequences kind of fell flat for me. I thought they were all, because, like, you know, these
like
movies,
the part where they're breaking him out of jail and the avalanche happens.
Yeah. I think that's good. That's
dope as hell.
But, like, I was expecting this. It's trying to kind of, like, you know, all these like grounded, like, espionage, like, Marvel movies feel like they're kind of riffing on, like, you know, like a Bourne movie or something. But, like, there was not enough, like, combat for me. Like, I was expecting a lot more, like, choreography, and it tends to be a lot more of, like, big buildings and people flying around and they're going out the airplane, like, just that, like, big, like, large scale action sequences that I just are harder to get into in these kinds of Marvel movies because they feel so animated and goopy and you know, like, not very tactile. You know, like, I wanted this to be, like, grittier and lower down and punchier than it actually ended up being. That was kind of, like, the biggest thing I was kind of disappointed by.
Like, I didn't have too much of a goop problem. Like, I feel like a lot of the sequences I really liked, like when the, like, mind-controlled widows were chasing after Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson, and they're chasing across the roofs of the buildings in Budapest. Right. And when they, like, take down that tower and it falls and she, like, grabs onto them, like, that was pretty sick. That was pretty sick. Like, I feel like I can pick out a lot of memorable, like, action scenes from this movie, and I was like, that was awesome. Like, it felt, like, really unique and, like, fun to watch.
Right.
Like, so.
What I was going to say is, Jackson, I wanted probably the exact opposite of what you wanted, because I've said this a million times. I think Wonder Woman is never going to be good until they can let a female superhero be silly. Because if we've learned anything from Thor, is that Thor was boring as shit until we let him be silly, and then Thor Ragnarok fucking slaps, and it's awesome, and it's silly, and it's wonderful. And, of course, with the trend with superhero movies, especially female superhero movies, is that we're not allowed to be silly yet. We have to be imperfect, we have to be perfect, infallible, and we have to be super serious and super, like, straight-faced. Like, that's the female superhero. And I feel like this closest that we have gotten to a silly female superhero. Because we've let, like, you can have one...
She's so silly.
Well, you can have one-liners as a female superhero, and that's, like, it. But then Black Widow and her sister just, like, annoying the shit out of each other and yelling at their dad is so funny. It's so good. And it is silly. Like, they do silly things sometimes. Like, when they're talking about her vest, and she's like, I love it. It's got a lot of pockets. I knew you liked it. Like, that, it's so good.
You don't have to take that out to add more punching in, though. That's just my thing. I wanted more punching. And, like, I really feel
I felt like it was a good balance.
Write that down. Yeah. Write that down.
I do. No, I'll stand by that, because I've said this on the podcast before. One of the biggest things that bugs me about, like, action movies, like combat-centric action movies, is that whenever they have female characters, they never let them, like, get beat up. Like, these big franchises like John Wick 3 is, I think, the best example of this. When, like, Halle Berry shows up, and that is a franchise that is built around watching Keanu Reeves and his allies get the fucking shit kicked out of them, right? Like, that is part of the, like, language of that series is, like, watching people take damage and see how they continue to fight even though they've been shot and stabbed and either piss and blood and, I don't know, whatever. And, like, Halle Berry in that whole sequence has, like, these dogs that she fights with. and no one ever like lands a punch on her. She doesn't get hit. She doesn't ever get hurt. Like she just like beats them all, you know? And it's not like it's not a cool sequence, but it's like, it feels like something because like she's the only like major female in that movie and she's just like untouchable. And I think it's so much more interesting to let people get punched. So I'll say that first and foremost. The other thing that I wanted to get at about wanting more punching is that, like, Taskmaster is a character who is, like, built around a very specific gimmick, which is that he can, like, perfectly physically mimic anyone's fighting style in such a way that he is always unbeatable in hand-to-hand combat, right? That's, like, his shtick. He's, like, a perfect mimic. And, you know, I don't mind, you know, like, all the different things they do with Taskmaster in this movie, having him be the daughter instead, and, you know, the way that, you know, plot point plays out, I think is all great.
I will say not enough burn victim for me though.
Fair.
Personally,
Also
I could have used much more burn.
Need to be just a little bit grosser.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's my only tangent for that.
Right, but like I don't feel like we see and they like set that up. They like tell you that like, yeah, she's a perfect mimic. She can download information on all her enemies or whatever. But except for that like one shot where they like both get up and like turn in exactly the same way, there is like no moment at which Taskmaster is like doing anything cool or interesting or like gets to show off like their whole bit, you know? It feels like a waste of potential to have it be Taskmaster.
Strike the dynamic poses of all the other Avengers though, and that's very fun. Like when she does the Black Panther thing, or like when she keeps throwing stuff like Captain America.
And it had
very
like
fun.
had Hawkeye's arrows and stuff.
Right.
Like I feel like you definitely see like Black Widow get punched like the hell out of this movie. Like she's bruised and bloody and like Florence Pugh's arm is like all torn up and like literally the main antagonist of the movie punches her in the face over and over again until she falls to the ground. Like that's not bad. I feel like Taskmaster probably could have been a little better. Like they could have I preferred it if Taskmaster got away and like that was a setup for like potential sequels or just like I like it when not all of the ends are. That's just
Winter Soldier again though.
Yeah, that's true. I just like it when a movie's like all of the ends aren't tied up. I just think it's a lot more, and I know that all of those widows are still out there, but like it's a lot more fun when they're like they gotta, and we do have to
tie up in the middle a little bit with this one. Yeah, just because where it is in the timeline. And we have Infinity War that we have to do after this.
Wait, there's a lot. I was gonna say a whole snap. That, you know.
Yeah.
There's time.
But I was gonna say, when it comes to punching women, I think that there is like you definitely have to like be careful with it, because I think if you should punch women because you should be treating them like action heroes, and action heroes get punched. They should be getting beat up just as much as the men. But on the other hand, first of all, people do surveys about this all the time for like video games and movies and stuff. People get real uncomfortable when women get hurt, and they should, because domestic violence. But like it does make people way more uncomfortable when a woman is visibly hurt versus when a man is visibly hurt, so that's a part of it. I do feel like if you hurt a woman too much, it feels like you're doing it just to hurt a woman, you know? It feels like when men say, well, if you have equality, then I can punch you in the face, right? Like, that's what it feels like. Like, I've always had, like, the new, like, modern Tomb Raider games, where every time you die, she gets, like, fucking impaled by a log and eaten by a crocodile and torn apart. Like, it just feels like... it just feels like so much, and you're only doing it because she's a woman, you know? Like, it just feels like weird and gross, you know? Like, there's definitely a balance to be had.
I acknowledge what you're saying, but I also think maybe let's get back to it. No, I'm gonna say maybe let's have this conversation again after you've seen Atomic Blonde, is what I'm gonna say.
I think there's also, like, there is a nuance between, like, like Grand Theft Auto, where literally all you're supposed to do is steal cars and beat women up. Like that's your goal. Whereas like in this movie, like she is fighting a lot of women. Like it's woman on woman. But like she's it's not like, wow, they're really like, that was too violent. And I'm getting to that age where I think things are too violent now.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at mentally. So
Yeah.
like I was like it all like it feels part of the world and it felt grounded enough for me. And like being able to see like bruises feels grounded too. Like it felt like a little bit like that one moment in the first Avengers movie where Clint just gets like Hawkeye just gets like stabbed to the chest and like you feel it. I don't know. That felt like really tactile for me.
Right.
Like that it feels tactile. Like this movie
Yeah.
it feels like a little gritty. So I don't know. Like you shouldn't like punch women just to punch women, but I am tired of like I like when that one in Infinity War when like that one daughter of Thanos just gets like exploded and there's just blood on everyone. I was like, yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kill
Yeah,
it.
no, I think this movie was kill. Yeah, kill. I think this movie was like the perfect level of beating up women. Like it felt like women were a part of the action and they were fighting super well. Like it felt real. It didn't feel like too much. I was just talking in like a movie violence in general with women. The concept.
And not to just harp on
absolutely.
this. Not to just harp on this forever, but my concise take is I wanted there to be one hand-to-hand fight scene that is just like anything you see in Winter Soldier, right? Like the fight between Steve and Bucky in Winter Soldier where he's got the knife and they're fighting. Just like one moment where you're just like, it's intimate. It's like two people, they're fighting and the choreography is big and there's like, you just like walk out of it and you're like, holy shit, you know, like it's stunts and people and it's like nobody's computer graphics and like I wanted there to be one of those to like show off Taskmaster's bit really clearly and really excitingly, make it like an actual like asset of the movie instead of it just being a weird ambiguous piece of world building.
I did like when Black Widow attaches the zipline to her back and pulls her up onto the top of the bridge, and then he flies up and he cuts it, and then he falls back down immediately. Did you not think that was dope? I thought that fight was pretty dope.
Right.
Because I think they emphasized way more the fact that he's perfectly mastered everybody else's fighting styles versus perfectly mimicking Black Widow. Like, they changed it up a little bit. Like, he definitely is mimicking her at some points during that fight. Focusing on his powers, more on the fact that he knows exactly how to punch and fight like Captain America and stuff like that.
Yeah. You want to know, I was watching Winter Soldier a little while ago, and something kind of clicked for me, which was that, like, one of the things that makes those fight scenes in that movie so magical is the way that Chris Evans acts through the choreography. Like, if you watch that scene where the two of them are fighting, and you like, and you just like pay attention to Chris Evans' face and like what he's doing the whole time, he looks like he's fucking scared shitless, you know? He looks like he's like concentrating so hard on like fighting this guy. He's not like stone faced like doing his thing. He's like he looks like he's like just barely holding on like the whole time. And it is so compelling. It's not like I'm not trying to like compare it to this movie. I was just thinking about that and like it was like an observation I made that I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's and it feels like there is like emotional stakes behind every like you've built that up with like a whole other movie and a whole relationship too. And it's the same with like Iron Man Captain America 3. I almost said Iron Man 3. But that wouldn't be right. But with Civil War, when like when the three of them are going off and like Iron Man's just like, I don't care anymore. Like literally, like I hate you. Like you killed my mom, my parents.
Right.
Like, and you feel it. Like I agree. I wish that I just like felt it a little more.
Yeah.
Like it is like a big thing about like people are tired of origin stories now.
Right.
Which is fair. But like the point of an origin story is that like, so you know where like their emotional stakes are. Like that's what's guiding them. You see what's guiding them as they grow. So like you know what's like Captain America is guided by like A, he's a selfless person, but B, he like loves his friend.
Right.
And with this movie, it's hard to like know, like, am I retroactively supposed to go back and, like, I already knew that she was a spy for Russia, and I already knew that, like, it was rough and terrible. Like, I could just surmise, but now I'm supposed to be like, oh, and there's this personal person, and this is what Budapest means, and this is, like, she had a sister, didn't know that. Whoa. Like, and it feels like none of that was informed by, like, her character arc through the rest of the movies.
Right.
So that, yeah, I don't know. Like, that feels like how could they even put that in? Like, what would it be? Where would that, like, big, like, this is the emotional heart of the story.
Yeah. And I mean, we do get a lot of Black Widow's emotions throughout the other films, but especially in Avengers, I think. But I think it's very subtle. It's not very specific. I would say in Civil War, is that the one where we find out that Hawkeye has a family? Which film is that?
That's Age of Ultron.
That is Age of Ultron, which I would say Age of Ultron underrated.
Absolutely.
It's pretty good.
We say it all the time.
Age of Ultron is very good.
Pretty good. There are like there are two very specific things about it that suck, and that's all anybody can talk about. But that movie's good otherwise. Age of Ultron's good.
Yeah, and the rest of it is great. But
I like Age of Ultron. What I was saying is that
in Age of Ultron and in Avengers, we very, very, very much talk about her backstory, but like kind of in obscure terms. Like Ultron, we talked about the fact that she was in the Red Room and she was like bred and molded and torn apart to be a spy. And that's where we kind of really established that she isn't just super powerful, she's been through shit. And we kind of imply that she's a monster because she's infertile, and that's the one bad part that we ignore.
Right.
But then in Avengers, and we're talking about how, like, she's very clearly ashamed of her past, ashamed of the things she's done as a Russian spy. And then when you put those two things together, then you get the Black Widow movie, where it's like, okay, here's all the shitty things she did in the past, and here how she was torn apart, and here's how these things come together for her to try to make sure that happens to nobody else ever again. And I love that I don't think the combat is the best that Marvel's ever done, but I think it's very good. I don't think it's bad in any capacity.
Right.
I love the dynamic of them fighting people that they don't want to kill. Like, because with Captain America and the Winter Soldier, like, those are the two people that don't, like, Captain America doesn't want to hurt the Winter Soldier, but then he's fine with kicking the shit out of everybody else.
Right.
What's fun about this movie is that there's, like, 20 people that we don't want to get hurt, and all of those people are trying to kill us. Like, I just love that dynamic whenever we're fighting a Widow or we're fighting Taskmaster.
She does have a
where
mask.
Natasha just so clearly is, like, heartbroken and doesn't want to fight them and wants to help them.
Right.
That fucking scene where she lets Taskmaster out of the cell so she can escape out of the building, and she knows as soon as she's gonna open that door that she's gonna try to kill her.
Really
it's just good.
Yeah, I think my thing is
it's so compelling.
Like, Scarlett Johansson is so, like, she's so talented. Like, she's a very good actress, and so you understand where she's coming from in, like, throughout the movies. I think it's just the difference between, like, Peter Parker, if you found out, like, this is how he was introduced. He had a hard, like, he lost someone very close to him, and that's why he's Spider-Man now. Versus, like, you see Uncle Ben say, with great power comes great responsibility. He doesn't exhibit that responsibility and is, like, frivolous with it, and then his uncle dies as a consequence. I feel like that's the difference where, like, you're just missing out on that. Like, which sucks. Like, I wish that we had that earlier, but you know, what can you
people,
like?
I hate people. I hate that. Everyone's like, I fucking hate origin stories. It's like, you need them in order to understand what the character is doing and who that character is. Like, what, you just want to skip to the middle of their story? Like, I don't understand it. I know that other superhero movies exist. I understand that. But, like, I do feel like we miss a part of that with Tom Holland. He, like, never fucking talks about his uncle and stuff like that. Like, I feel like that's just, like, not a part of his character.
Right. I think that, like...
Versus, like, Miles Morales, where when we see his uncle get shot, you're like, oh, fuck, dude. And, like...
I let you down, man!
Yeah, it fucking sucks. You see how important that relationship is to him and how it affects him the rest of the way through the story versus Tom Holland, where we're like, you fucking know, and then we just don't talk about it. Because, like, oh, you fucking know, we're not going to tell you again.
I feel like that just sort of speaks to... One of the things I was thinking about when I was watching this is that, like, Phase 4, as it were, I'm getting more and more annoyed by the phase terminology with every year that goes by, but like phase 4 really feels like Marvel putting their foot down and deciding that they're not going to be afraid of alienating the widest possible audience, you know? Because like, not only, because it's like a combination of things, because it's like, especially on TV, not only are they doing weirder things, not are they doing higher concept things, not are they doing, like, featuring smaller characters that the widest possible audience doesn't necessarily care about, but they're also commingling television and movies a lot in a way that's going to be a barrier for entry for a lot of people. And this movie is a great example of it, because it, like, at the beginning, there's not like a title card or anything. It just starts, and you're supposed to kind of know that it takes place right after Civil War. You know? Like, it doesn't make any effort to, like, sit you down and be like, so this is where it is, and this takes place in the past. There's not, like, a flash forward to Bruce Banner at her gravestone at the end of Endgame, and they're like, I remember
which
the time.
is, like...
you know?
Like, which, like, for us, we're, like, I think it took me maybe, like, 30 seconds post, like, initial. I was like, okay, yeah, like, like Accords, we get it. Like when that whole scene where like they're trying to arrest her and she's like, yo, you're out of your league, bro. And they're like, we literally have you surrounded. And she's like, I don't think you do. And she's in Norway on like a ferry.
So
God, I was like, thank Jesus. And she's like in a hoodie.
Yeah.
Like, but like for other
she
people,
looks
you're like
Tanya Harding in that scene, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
But she's got like her hair like tied in the bag.
But like if you're casual or like lower than casual, you're like, I literally what? Literally what's
she
happening?
Died last time I saw her.
I
What's
love how they use her hair to tell you where we are in the timeline.
I thought she was dead. Why are we not acknowledging the fact that she's not dead?
I guess nobody in Marvel movies ever died.
Nobody. Yeah, here she is again. I love how they use her hair to tell you where we are in the timeline. Like, right, oh, she has a red hair, and then she, like, looks at the blonde dye, in the beginning, and then, like, puts it down, and you're like, oh, because in fucking whatever movie she has blonde hair, and then in Endgame she's got the red and then the blonde hair, and it's like, ah. And then she dyes her hair blonde at the end of the movie. I think that's super fun.
Which is one of those things that I think people goof on way too much, because, like, one of the staples of this whole franchise is that, like, every character in every movie has, like, a slightly different look. Their costumes are different, their facial hair is different, their hairstyles are different. Constantly, like, every character in every movie has, like, some unique feature about them in this story, you know, like, physically. And, you know, Black Widow's just a woman, so she has more hair and more noticeable hair. So it just sort of sticks in the mind a little bit more.
She's just a woman.
Riffing, like, people, like, bag on Marvel for being like, oh, Black Widow's gotta have a different hairstyle every time. It's like, everybody has a different hairstyle every time. They always do. It's a whole thing.
Just don't notice because they're men.
Yeah, exactly.
Loki's hair's wild, bro. Have you seen Thor 1 recently?
Quite a bit, yeah.
Literally.
That's fair. That's very fair.
It's Tom Hiddleston's real hair in Thor 1, pretty much. And then it's like a normal enough haircut, and then by like same with like Thor, they are just like balls to the wall, wild, wonky. Like haircuts. You literally see Thor get a haircut in Thor Ragnarok.
Right, yeah.
So who's the real hair goddess?
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
I just wanted to acknowledge, first of all, okay, multiple things. I was very torn right at the beginning because I was excited about the fact that they had like an honest to God like opening title sequence, because movies don't really do that very much anymore, and Marvel movies especially have never really done that. So I was like, this is different and cool, and I like this. But the fact that it was set to a slowed down trailer song version of Smells Like Teen Spirit sucks. That is the worst. So
I was gonna bring that up because the only
female
other
superheroes,
I guess, because I literally sat there thinking, I was like, I am so mad about this. Like, why can't it just be creepy orchestration, like just weird cellos, because I was thinking through, so then instead of enjoying it, I'm sitting there thinking, what other movies in the Marvel canon did like a pop, like a straight up pop song? Because there's also that scene where she's like, there's literally just like an Adele song playing in the car or something, and she's like singing along, which I was like, that's just like a little too far for me. Like, it just feels like it's a little too like, she's a girl, she's feminine. So we had Captain Marvel had all of the like, no doubt, I'm just a girl.
That was maybe the worst needle drop in cinema history. I hated that.
Literally.
Oh yeah, that
made
like
me so
angry.
Shit.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I could think of was when Iron Man says, "I'm Iron Man," and then cut to credits, and then I am Iron Man, and that's the only one that I could think of.
Wait,
but like,
are you talking about just using pop songs in Marvel movies in general?
That's an awesome montage.
No, but like,
because Guardians of the Galaxy is like a franchise built on pop songs.
That's different. That's different though. That's different. Where I was just thinking like in these like more gritty, grounded like I don't know. It felt like a this is what femininity is like. Let me like. Have you seen any of the Handmaid's Tale? Like, it just felt like the Handmaid's Tale.
I read the book though.
Like, that's what its soundtrack sounds like a lot of the time. Well, there you go.
Good, well, I was gonna say, what took me out of it, what ruined it for me, was that in the year 1990, her little sister has an alicorn Twilight Sparkle doll. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's 1995.
From Friendship is Magic. Are you fucking? You think you could get that shit past me, Marvel? You sons of bitches.
I don't think it was a Friendship is Magic.
I did.
God, unwatchable.
I don't think it. No, there was Rarity existed before then. Like, I don't know.
It's not. It's Twilight Sparkle. It's the Friendship is Magic Twilight Sparkle. Because the original Twilight Sparkle was white with pink hair. It's that Twilight Sparkle. And she's also an alicorn, which happens later in that series. It is specifically Twilight Sparkle when she's a princess stuffed animal. In the year 1995, I don't fucking think so, Marvel. Get out of here.
CinemaSins, did you get that one?
Okay,
all right.
CinemaSins, write that down.
CinemaSins?
What was I liked that they had like Natasha's hair, like that she had it dyed back then. Like, I thought that was a fun like poking at the people who are like, oh, she dyed her hair blonde.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That little girl looks a lot like Scarlett
She's
Johansson
always
too.
like.
She does.
That's good casting.
Little girl. She looks so much just like a tomboy young girl. I love that so much. She wasn't like cute. She didn't have like curled blonde hair or whatever. Like, she just looked like a regular little girl. It was so nice.
Yeah. I wanted to point out, because I'm a weird nerd who's really obsessed with billing and credits, but I just want to say the last 3 credits of the movie are, first of all, 2 different people get withs, because it's with Ray Winstone, with William Hurt and Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz getting the and, which I was not expecting. But also, William Hurt getting the with in the opening credits for like 2 minutes of screen time is insane. Like, I can only imagine, like, that's the sort of thing that just like projects that they had to try really hard to convince him to be in this movie. Like, they had to give him a lot of really nice things, like a with in the opening credits.
Yeah.
He must have gotten paid like $2 million to be in this movie. That's what I suspect. I suspect that William Hurt is not under contract anymore, and now every time they think it might be fun to use him, they have to renegotiate. That's just what I think is going on there.
That's a good credit. Like, I remember in high school we had like, they had bows, where like they were tracked out, and I remember there was one time that someone had like a really long one, even though they weren't like the main character, and our teacher was like, yeah, in the Broadway version, this was like a veteran actress, and so she legitimately in her contract said that she had a longer bow than everyone else.
Right.
So just like milk it, I guess.
Enjoy.
Just go for it, Jason.
Sure. So, you gotta negotiate for what you got.
Do that up there.
Yeah. Listen, that was Whipping is coming back.
Is it?
Back again.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay.
But I learned that replay by Ayaz was a TikTok sound recently.
What is that? That's not porn to replay,
Do you know
is it?
it's Shawty's like
right,
a melody in my head.
That's a good song.
That song from like when we were in middle school.
Right, yeah.
It is a good song. It's a good song. And I sang it in front of some 8-year-olds. I just went, Shawty's like a melody in my head. And they sang it back to me. And I was like, I literally thought I stepped into it like the Twilight Zone or like an alternate universe where I was like 10 years in the past somehow. Right. And I said, how did you know that song? And they were like, it was on TikTok. And I my heart broke a little bit, but then I was also like, thank God that this song is still alive with the youngs. And then this morning I learned that was like 6 months ago. So like I talked to 8-year-olds and then I talked to a 16-year-old and she was like, yeah, that was a TikTok sound like a long time ago. It's not really one anymore.
Right.
Cool. That's fine.
And then just smacked her.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was thinking about because if you guys weren't caught up on Falcon and Winter Soldier, basically the bit of Julia Louis-Dreyfus in it is that she like right at the end of the series when Wyatt Russell is like kind of at the end of his story, she just like shows up and is just like she's like reverse Nick Fury. It seems like she's just like coming around and like talking to like disgraced superheroes and seems to be like getting them in for something. So it looks like Wyatt Russell and Florence Pugh at least are going to be a part of something later down the line. It's probably Thunderbolts would be my guess, would be what they're doing. Like, I don't think they're going to do Dark Avengers. I think Thunderbolts would be more interesting, but I'm just excited about it. I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus is so fun, and just like Wyatt Russell and Florence Pugh are both like the best parts of the things they were in. So like, I don't know. I just hope we can keep rolling with it, and we'll get a like kick-ass Thunderbolts TV show probably.
Oh, Wyatt Russell is so good. And Florence Pugh, I'll say it, in anything. Wyatt Russell in anything is just dynamo. That one episode of Black Mirror.
Sure.
So good in it. The woman in the window.
Woman in the window. He is pretty good in that. I'm not even gonna lie. He's compelling.
Yeah. I'm not lying. Yeah, but Wyatt Russell is just like top tier. Overlord. Oh.
That's right. He is an Overlord. I remember thinking he was Charlie Hunnam most of the time, but he's not. He's Wyatt Russell.
I feel like, Jackson, maybe you're just having a hard time identifying people, because that was also a Passenger's problem for you.
Problem?
Yeah. What? Wait, what?
Identifying who people are. You have to tell me 3 things about that person before I know who the fuck you're talking about.
Your audio cut out, so I thought you were just raising your hand to speak. It's like, go, Adeline, say your truth.
On the arcade machine.
Like, for the first time in the world, we're taking turns to talk.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like we haven't talked about David Harbour enough. The red streak.
Right. The Red Guardian.
The Red Guardian. He's just so fun.
He's the second best part of the movie.
Yeah, and also, how many other movies does he need to play a red superhero? I can't remember. Anyone remember Hellboy? Probably not, because it didn't do very well. But he's just like all of the times where he's trying to emotionally connect to Natasha and like apologize to her, and it just kept failing. And that scene when he legitimately is like trying to console Yelena but doesn't know how, because he like cannot empathize, like just straight up does not know how to empathize. And then he like tries over and over again and tries with that like fishing story, like, which is hilarious. And then legitimately like turns to a moment where he sings her favorite song, and like that's actually a very sweet, touching thing. Like, that's just range. It's range. I don't know what to tell you. That's the range.
Like, I feel like it speaks.
Baby.
I feel like it speaks to a very particular phenomenon too, which is just like of men who are sort of like afforded the privilege of being like optimistic and perky and are like just generally less beat down by the world than the women in their life are, and it's just like an odd power dynamic where it's like a perfectly acceptable thing of like being happy, like it's not like that's ever a bad thing, but like trying to carry that on to the people in your life that you care about, but having them like be resentful of it just like feels like a phenomenon I've seen in the real world that comes through. And I also just think like that
he's like the perfect shitty dad. Like he's self-absorbed and cannot relate to anybody, but at the same time it does have like that, like, I hate the word toxic, but like that toxic happiness, where he's just like, oh, everything's cool. What are you guys upset about? And it's like, and here's a bullet list, and like that part where he's like, I don't understand why you're so upset, and she's like, you literally said that you fucking hated raising me, that I was the chore that you didn't want to deal with. Like that was like, ooh, that was good for a shitty family.
And like I love how like the difference between the way Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson react to the whole situation is so fascinating, because like you can tell like Scarlett Johansson, like Black Widow was obviously like older when this was all happening. She was like more aware of it, but Florence Pugh was very young and was just like Natasha had like an awareness of the fact that it was all kind of a farce, whereas Florence Pugh just didn't, because she was that much younger. And like the way the two of them think about and interact with that time in their lives is really different because of it. Whereas like Natasha's like, stop trying to pretend like we're a family or whatever, and Florence Pugh's like, why won't you act like we're a family? They like want exactly the opposite things in a way that I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it's so cool how like each of them like sans Yelena like they go through different phases at different times, which is like fun for wacky hijinks where like this was never a real family, but also this was like the best time of my life, and these are the only people that I care about.
Right.
Like they go through these different crests, and it creates like such fun dynamics because they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Where like, and it takes Natasha the longest to come around to it and like admit that like you legitimately cared about these people whether you liked it or not, and like they matter to you. That's part of it, and that's cool. That's also relatable. Like that's something that's not just like a hashtag girl boss problem, but like everyone has that. Like everyone is like, I don't know how to reconcile like the fact that my parents are subject to like their weird political propaganda of their time, and I'm subject to the weird political propaganda of my time, and we cannot see eye to eye on this, but we care about each other anyway. So like, now what do we do?
Yeah.
Like that's what this movie's partially about.
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
cool.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I feel like the things that are great about this movie are like those moments, like the like peak part of the movie is like that sequence in the house, and like
the weird.
And just a lot of the times, like some of the, when you're like so into those scenes, like those big exploding action sequences could kind of feel like vegetables sometimes. But like, I think the one where they're breaking David Harbour out of prison is really good because it's kind of the best of both worlds. You're like getting a lot of interaction between the two of them, and how the dad is like doing the worst possible job of like surreptitiously breaking out of prison and like starting an avalanche, and like everything goes wrong, and they're like, Jesus Christ. But like it's just
also
I don't know.
When she's like, this would be a cool way to die.
Right. I like that a lot.
I love her so much.
Oh, this is the last thing I kind of wanted to say, like big picture, which is that like the biggest thing that I got hung up on with this movie was that I was just kind of unclear about like the circumstance in general, because they've got this powder that undoes mind control, which is like, sure, I don't know, it's a little convenient, but I'll let it slide. And so all the Red Room widows are literally mind controlled now, but that wasn't the case
Like a pig.
before, or was it? Like when Natasha got out, like she wasn't being literally mind controlled, was she?
No, like I think it's just like like Red Sparrow. Did you did you watch that movie with Jennifer with Lawrence? But like they are physically pig, stop breathing, being mind controlled now. And I thought that they were gonna, like, it was gonna be revealed that, like, Melina is the one who, like, derived the serum, and she was, like, a sleeper agent, like, she was the owl in Attack on Titan or whatever. But that never happened. And I did like that she was like, I envy you, like, how did you break free? Like, I've been in this cage my whole life, and, like, we are, like, from the same circumstance. Which also,
talking about
like,
cycles of abuse.
Yeah, like you can be a victim and still create victims yourself.
Yeah.
Like they are not like independent of each other, which is like a really cool nuanced take to like for this movie to take, which is cool. But why didn't they just say like, yeah, Melina figured out the serum, but like there's nothing, like she didn't feel like she could do anything about it or something, you know? Like
And what I was
yeah, it was kind of just like some spies that escaped made it because that's who she kills at the beginning of the movie. It's just like not important. We're like, we have this. Here's what's happening. It's like, okay, great.
I was totally like made the call to myself halfway through. I was like, I bet the post-credit scene they're gonna be like, oh, thanks for inventing that powder, somebody funny, and they would like pan around and it would be like, I don't know, like Phil Coulson or something, or like something dramatic. I don't know. Didn't work out that way. But
not dead.
But the
be Hank Pym, honestly.
No, yeah.
Is he dead? I don't remember.
No, he's still kicking around.
Alive.
But like, because so like that's a little unclear. Like I'm not exactly sure what the circumstances are, but like now maybe I understand. Like the physical mind control is like a recent development. It's this thing.
Since write it down.
But I also think like if the mind control is a recent development, what were they doing before that? And if they were still in this system before they were
just
being
mental conditioning,
right? But before they were being literally mind controlled, if you undo the mind control, what's really that different besides that now they're back to where they were 3 years ago when they were still in this system?
Maybe
know? Like why are they behaving like, as if they're just like freed now when they get de-mind controlled if they had only started being mind controlled recently? If that
maybe because they're just doing the mind control instead of all of the steps before. What if they're just only doing the mind control now? That would make sense.
But Florence Pugh was
that,
being
like,
mind
they're
controlled.
Like, this is,
she was in
it's
the
like
system
cheaper. Yeah. But she was, but she was younger then, and like Natasha had already been in the system already a little bit.
Right.
Like
she was.
Like they plucked her out and put her in there, and then but I don't know. That also kind of broke my brain. Like that.
And then you have Natasha, and then you have the little sister, and they've got all got different technology controlling them.
Yeah, which hello, like that's how I don't understand TikTok, and my sister's 4 years younger, and is just like TikTok master. I just didn't get that. I didn't get that brain juice,
Right.
But I figured that I figured they would have like done more to like
just
steer us through the pig stuff.
Yeah.
And especially since like mind control is already a part of the MCU. Like we already have seen Bucky subject to that.
We touched on it. We touched upon it. We're like, that's where we got the info. With what the shit that they did with the Winter Soldier, we stole that. We're doing that also.
Yeah, it would have been fucking nice to have had that powder like 8 movies ago, and we were trying to figure out what's up with Bucky.
Yeah, they were like, but he was programmed with words. They were programmed with chemicals.
True.
So that's the diff. But then also, they were never like, this is how they said this is how you undo it, but they never said this is how we did it.
Exactly.
This is just like I'm free. A little. I thought it was like Scarlet Witch stuff. Like they like
Maybe, yeah.
derived a compound from her or something because it looked like.
Well, but then
her
see if they
magic.
explain it, then you're gonna get the people who are like, Marvel always makes bullshit science and then explains it to you, and it's like, what do you want?
Yeah,
It's
true.
what do you want from us?
Yeah, someone tell me what's right. Is it what is right? Is it the Hulk sitting there and explaining weird metaphysics to like bald Tilda?
Right.
Is that what it is?
I think it is.
I don't know.
I don't think the problem is not that we don't understand like the scientific, you know, ideas behind it. Like you can tell me like there's a power.
We
that
just don't
undoes.
understand the timeline.
We don't understand the timeline. We don't understand what it is that
Yeah.
we're undoing. Like it is, you know, you don't have to be hyper specific,
Yeah.
but you need to be more specific than you were, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Ray Winstone?
I was gonna say.
I just wanted to say Beowulf himself, Ray Winstone, very good in this movie.
Good stuff.
Yes.
I was gonna say Keisha got to mention Black Mirror, so I get to mention BioShock. That this movie delves in a lot of the same themes that BioShock 2 does. It's all about like who's your real family and chemical mind control and all that stuff.
I was gonna say this movie is a lot like The Incredibles.
It is.
I don't know. It's not.
No, it's not really.
I was like The
don't
Incredibles.
It's a superhero family.
Super strong. Hello.
You just
Hello?
agreed, Adeline. You
Their
didn't even think
love
about
makes
it.
them stronger, Jackson.
They're the Uncredibles because they're bad guys sometimes.
But yeah, it's just so funny. Like Ray Winstone as the like fucking Russian ass mega villain. He's like so great at it. I mean, he's no Kenneth Branagh in Tenet, but he's up there. But like, it just always makes me think.
No.
Like
He does give me Danny DeVito vibes sometimes in this role. Is that just me?
But it just cracks me up that like Ray Winstone is not a young man. He's probably like 70 something at this point. And he was Beowulf. He was, you know, the actor who played Beowulf in that movie. He was probably like 60 years old when he did that. Like, he was not a young man. So I don't know why he was the guy.
Let's do some mathematics.
Like, how old was Ray Winstone when they made Beowulf?
Yeah. Because I saw Beowulf in theaters, but I was definitely too young to be seeing Beowulf in theaters. Because again, Gary, he loves Bobby Z. He loves a Bobby Z. And what can you do?
Beowulf came out in 2007.
It's a good movie. Yeah, and Ray Winstone.
I didn't prepare a creepypasta this week because I had a feeling we were going to talk for 3 hours. So just so you know,
he's 64, and that was 2007. That was like 15 years ago. So he was like 50. So
he was like,
it's not bad.
Just like 50,
it's like The Rock or whatever.
Playing the buff action star in a movie for the first time.
People do that though. People do that still. You know.
They do be doing that.
Right.
Yeah, but Samuel Jackson has said, like, stop making me run. I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought this was gonna be like our opening little buff, but I just remembered this was a bit in our friend group for a long time where if you had to get knuckle tattoos where you only have 8 letters, like 4 and 4, like what is the best one? And Karl Marx.
Oh, Karl Marx.
No, but like, that's what David Harbour has. Karl Marx. Bam, bam, Alexei.
And
that was literally all I could think of when I saw that.
I thought at one point that it said Mark with a K.
I think it was just Karl Marx.
Because there was at one point when it made me think that it might have just been Mark with a K, and maybe it was just kind of a bit that maybe he had 2 friends named Carl and Mark who died, and so he's commemorating them in that way.
What the heck?
Because I just think that would be funny.
No,
he should have Iron Man 3 tattooed on his knuckles.
Yeah.
It's a communism joke.
I know. But I think it would be a next level joke if it's like Karl Mark, or maybe you like misspelled it, like doesn't know it. I don't know. I think it's funny.
Baby. It's just that was something that I was like, that's so fun for us because we were always like, what's the funniest knuckle tattoo combo you can get. I
Right,
feel like
yeah.
Karl Marx is a good one. That's
Right.
a pretty good one.
That's up there.
But I said Beowulf. I never considered Beowulf on your
Yeah,
knuckles.
Beowulf is a good one.
Also
I feel
good.
like we had so many good ones, but this bit is like 3 or 4 years
Right.
old at this point.
I mean,
I don't
Iron Man-
Yeah,
remember
this is
any
an
of them.
old bit. This
Iron
is
Man
an
3 will
aged
always
bit.
be the best one.
Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 is just the best one.
So if you're a real
As it
fan of the
is with all
podcast,
things.
then you would get an Iron Man 3 Knuckles tattoo. That's
Right.
all, that's all I'm saying. So, if you
I
need
feel
Once
to,
we
like-
get around to
I'll-
making stickers for Twitch, that's gonna be one of them.
Yeah, Iron Man 3. That's so funny. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanna make note of. This year is just so crazy because like Marvel like halted production for like, maybe 6 months, like during the pandemic before they like started back up again. But they have not been able to put out a movie for basically, a year and a half before this. So like this year they are so backed up with content that like it's literally, we've already had WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, and now Black Widow, and we've still got What If and Hawkeye and Miss Marvel are all still supposed to come out this year, as well as Eternals and Shang-Chi
lot.
and Spider-Man. Like those things are all coming out this year, and it's July.
I know.
Like,
Christ.
it's just
Yeah.
like constant.
Elin and I were like, we
And
were
it's
literally,
July.
Yeah.
we're like, what's even coming out next? Like, what is the timeline?
It's Shang-Chi.
It's crazy.
in
It's just like
September.
so chock full. Okay, because I was like, I know that Spider-Man is Christmas,
Yeah.
but it seems like how could they possibly have that done? But also a whole 18 months went by, and it
Christmas.
feels
Right.
basically like it's 2019 still.
Right.
So who knows? But
Yeah.
I'll say, like, my recommendation for this movie is I personally thought it was really good. I really loved it. This is a good movie. It feels good. There are some things where I was like, oh, I wish they did this earlier or like whatever. But I will say that sitting there in that theater and having the lights get dark and then the Marvel credits started, like so many people who were there were just, everyone was just like, ah, yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it
I
right
know.
now.
It's
Like
literally been
it's
2
special.
years.
Yes. Like, and the TV shows are good. Like it's all good content.
Right.
But like seeing it in a movie theater,
It's just not
it
the
just
same. Yeah.
it sparks joy, you know?
Right.
Like so I would highly
I'm gonna
recommend
keep it.
highly recommend, this is for you too, Adeline, that if you are fully vaccinated and you are safe and you feel like it's responsible, like buy a ticket and go to the movies.
Yeah, hell
like
yeah.
it feels great. It's
Movies are good.
awesome. It's so good. All those fireflies, you get to see the red room in all its blazing glory. Like go buy a ticket. Go buy a movie ticket and go see it in the theater.
Oh, and speaking of
Don't
Hawkeye,
don't give Disney Plus $30 fucking dollars. Don't do it.
and I was gonna say, speaking of Hawkeye, I was bummed at the way they handled Taskmaster in this movie, but there's another Marvel character who has like almost exactly the same shtick, which is Echo, and she's gonna be in the Hawkeye TV show. So maybe we'll get another crack at it. Maybe they'll do something cool there instead.
There you go.
Um,
We'll try again. See how that goes.
You want to know what is fascinating to me? So, Echo, the character, is a Native American woman who is deaf. And they did find and cast a deaf Native American woman in the Hawkeye show, which is gotta be just like a gargantuan achievement in casting. Like, that casting pool must be so small to like find somebody who fits those criteria and who is good.
Just shows you. It just shows you that every time they're like, well, we couldn't find an autistic person, that they're just spewing bullshit and they
Right.
just didn't try that hard or weren't willing to work with a person who actually had that disability.
Right.
Like, it's just, yeah, we just didn't give a shit before, but now we did, so we were able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. The month of disability pride, which
Right.
I've learned recently thanks to my sister.
Yeah.
But like,
Which I'm very
like,
thankful that people have educated me about.
Yeah, absolutely. Like disability, I feel like even though like, you know, people of color like brown, yellow, blackface is still like happening too frequently in media because if it happens at all, it's bad. But like
sorry, ScarJo.
Like people with disabilities like hardly ever get to play themselves. Like it's always like if you're we talked about it on like Avatar a little bit last week.
Yeah.
But like if you are in a wheelchair for real, like you're like they're like, oh, we wanted a flashback scene where they could walk around. So then with Avatar it's a little different, but like Glee, sorry. Like there's a character who's in a wheelchair for no reason. Like that there's no reason why he should be walking. Like other than a couple times he has a I wish I could walk montage where he's dancing. Like
well,
that's
the thing. Like, and it's almost becomes this like chicken or egg thing where it's like, you know, if you're somebody who's born with a disability, if you're like a paraplegic or you are like wheelchair bound, like how many of those people are going to commit themselves to the craft of acting, like knowing the world that we live in, you know?
Well,
just, you know, so it's which is, you know, exactly. I'm not at all trying to like say they couldn't cast it, but like that in and of itself makes that like pool of contestants like so much smaller, and like because that's what I mean. Like when I talk about,
well, I mean, it's the exact same situation with like women in STEM.
Right, yeah. But I also want to say, first of all, I want to say that the woman who's playing Echo has a great name. Her name is Alakwa Cox. Just is great. I like Alakwa. But like, you know, as a segment of the American population, like, you know, a 20 to 30-year-old Native American woman who is deaf is probably like a couple hundred people, you know? And to pick one person out of that who is a good enough actress who has studied acting enough to be able to like competently play a character is spectacular. It's so crazy. It just blows my mind that they were able to like put that together the way that they did.
Yeah. I think as like the further we get is the better. Like the fewer like little people who have to play like exclusively trolls, elves, or whatever, goblins and ghoulies or whatever. Like every time I see one, I'm like, why not another elf? Like why? You don't need to do that. But like it doesn't happen as frequently because shocker, like little people are human beings with acting abilities. And like and if anyone has taught us anything, it's that what's his like Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage. He is very good actor. And hello, cast him in everything. Thank you very much.
And that's so funny with little people because it's almost like the opposite problem of what I was just saying. Because like little people know that there's good money for them in show business. So if anything, little people are probably like one of the most overqualified minority groups when it comes to acting talent that there are, because they know it's a good place for them to go make some money.
And that's also there's like a different history.
Of course, yeah.
Like we can talk. A little extra podcast where we talk about the history of like sideshows in America.
Yeah.
We'll do that when we watch Greatest Showman. That's what we'll do.
Okay, I'll talk about Greatest Showman.
I was gonna say, I do feel a little bit weird when we do like, when you talk about like fantasy dwarves and stuff. Like I don't think that little people should have to only be able to play fantasy characters because they're real human people. That end of sentence. But at the same time, when there's like an opportunity to play a little person and then it's played by someone who's regular height, it's like kind of like weird. And I get that it's still a fantasy dwarf, but at the same time, having to be a full-grown person when it could have been a little person is weird. I don't know what to do about it.
Like I've been getting mad about the Snake Eyes movie because like Henry Goulding, Henry Goulding, he's like not even Japanese. He's like half Chinese, like me.
Yeah.
So, but also I'm also like, why are they even doing another freaking kung fu samurai sword movie anyway? But then I'm gonna get mad about casting. Like, you know, there's everyone. People like me are always gonna get mad.
If it makes you feel better, that movie is going to sell exactly 2 tickets in the continental United States. So.
You know, actually, the second trailer that I saw, the one that played for Black Widow, I was like, actually, it looks pretty good.
It might be. I don't know. People don't give a half of a fuck about G.I. Joe anymore, though. Like, that was...
Literally?
That
Why?
movie became, like, a punchline about, like, the state of IP-driven Hollywood, like, 2 minutes after it came out. And they made a sequel, and they were like, ugh, we can't keep getting away with this. And they're like, what if we rebooted it? It's like, no. Nobody's gonna come out for this. It's not gonna happen. But I don't know, maybe there's going to be egg on my face. Maybe it's going to be the highest grossing movie of all time. Maybe it's going to dethrone Avatar. Henry Golding becomes box office royalty.
It's going to win 4 Oscars.
Yeah.
But, like, I bring this up, though, because it makes me think, like, God, I wish, like, an Asian person could just play a role without, like, having to explain that they're Asian. But then like, Crazy Rich Asians I love because... like they are celebrated things that don't even have to be explained, which I think just results in like the market is super undersaturated, so like we keep comparing like how come we don't have enough like dark-skinned Latinos, how come we don't have enough Asian representation, how come we don't have enough like people with disabilities playing themselves, and it all comes back to Hollywood, man. It's
a documentary was talking about. I think everybody told us. He told you. See, an amazing documentary that I think everybody should watch. A little bit of a content warning because it's talking about the history of trans media, so some of it's messed up because trans media is sometimes messed up in the past. But it's Disclosure on Netflix. I think it's a wonderful documentary talking about trans people media, specifically like in film and TV. And there's a quote from one of the people that they interviewed that I absolutely love, and they say that the problem with trans media is that there just needs to be more of it, so that when something is sloppy or a little bit weird or a little bit off, it doesn't matter because there's so much of it. Like, that some of it is going to be amazing and some of it's going to be bad, but it doesn't matter because there's enough of it to create like a full scope of just what it means to be trans. And I think that's like so true with anything, like with little people. If there was just more content of little people when it was just like a little bit weird, or maybe you felt like it wasn't the best use of that person's skills, it didn't matter because there was so much more of it that could have been better or worse or whatever.
Yeah, same with like female-led superhero movies, like 3 main female superheroes in, and it's already like balancing itself out a little bit. So crazy. Crazy what diversity will do for us.
Right. I wanted to. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're pretty ready to wrap up. I thought I had something to say, but I got distracted looking at
I'm tired.
Letterboxd reviews. But yeah, I mean, I think this movie works. I think we like it.
Yeah, have fun editing this episode, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. I just wanted to think about the only thing.
I love this movie. I think it's great. I would say it's the best superhero movie.
I don't know. Wonder Woman 1's pretty fucking good.
One is pretty great, but she is the only woman in it aside from like her mom.
Are we gonna do ratings? Cause my ranking goes from bottom to top. Wonder Woman 1984, Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman this movie.
Right.
So any modifications?
Where would you put Birds of Prey in there? I think I would put
Birds
of Prey on top of Wonder Woman just because it's more fun than Wonder Woman. I don't think it's better than Wonder Woman, but I think it's more fun, if that makes any sense.
Birds of Prey is one of those movies that has sort of I know deep in my heart that I don't like Birds of Prey like that much, but it's one of those movies that like the more distance I get from it, the more I think like, did I love that movie? Was that movie like incredible? Like I just remember the parts that were cool about it. I'm like, Birds of Prey, was that great?
Yeah.
And then I know for a fact if I watch it, I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot I was annoyed by a lot of this movie. But there are a lot of parts that are really good in it. I don't know.
And there's but that's
just like watch an edited version of it. That's just all the dope parts. It would be incredible.
Do we want to? Since this is a Marvel movie, it's sort of the way we have to do it. Do we want to play some speculation game? Do we think, like, obviously, it seems like they're setting up that they're gonna put Florence Pugh in Hawkeye, because like, what else could that have meant, or like where else could that situation play out if not in the Hawkeye series. Like, I'm just trying to think, because I'm wondering if they are, like, obviously they're putting together some sort of like anti-hero super team, whether it's like Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers or what have you. But like it's this Marvel thing where it's like they like set something up and they leave a thread hanging that you're like waiting for them to pick up, and then you look at their lineup and you're like, where? Like, when? Like, where would this go? Like, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is like having like evil White Vision like fly off at the end of WandaVision. You're like, where is he gonna come back? Like, in what circumstance? Although maybe he'll be on the Thunderbolts team. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like Thunderbolts. It's like,
but he's like not. Also, White Vision is like back to himself Vision, too. You know, like he's like, I'm Vision. Bye.
Right. Because I like the idea, like, between just Joe Walker and or John Walker and Florence Pugh, Yelena Belova. I like that the people they're picking up are neither. They, like, really and truly are not, like, supervillains, and they're also not, like, you know, anti-heroes. They're not, like, the Punisher or whatever. They're, like, disgraced superheroes, you know? They're, like, people who, like, are good, but are, like, sincerely complicated, you know? In a way that I think is really interesting. And the character that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is playing is Madame Hydra. so that throws a wrench in it a little bit, but, like... I'm liking this lineup of characters a lot just based on these first two. And I bet that is it. I bet whatever Thunderbolts thing they do, I bet they'll rope in White Vision. It. That's what I'm calling.
I can see that. I'm trying to like
I don't know when Taskmaster's gonna come back.
Scarface.
Right.
It's like I'm trying to remember what it was like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away when like you saw like Nick Fury show up at the end of like a movie, or like Tony Stark showed up in Thor.
It was at the end of Hulk.
I think at the end of Thor. Okay, I couldn't remember which one.
Right.
I just remember Edward Norton like having his moment when his eyes open green, and then you pan out and it's actually Mark Ruffalo. Just kidding. But like we didn't get an explanation about what was going on there for a little while, and I feel like I'm fine with Phase 4 being like, guess what, idiots? We can still keep you on your toes, and you're gonna enjoy it, and you don't need to know the answer to everything.
What the fuck's happening, nerd?
The answer to everything isn't a weird demon from another realm, so stop asking about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Stop thinking it's Mephisto.
People are always...
Shut up.
People don't know... They're not good at recognizing patterns in these movies, because, like... People go so fucking off the walls when it comes to these theories, and you're like, okay, let's scale it back a little bit, you guys. Jeez. Like, have they ever just, like, thrown a fucking A-list actor playing an obscure Marvel role in secretly with no warning like that? Like, it would be cool, but they've never done that before, you know? And, like, did you guys hear about, in WandaVision, there is this big theory that, because Paul Bettany did an interview at some point, like before the show actually started, where they were like, you know, they asked him like, are there any like, you know, surprises or anything? And he was like, well, there is an actor right at the end of the series that I'm very excited to work with. It's always been a dream of mine to work with.
That little
himself, because he gets to be both Visions. He's like doing a bit, sort of. But because people said that, people were like positive that meant that Al Pacino was gonna be playing Mephisto. For some reason, like that coagulated into people thinking. Yeah, people were like so sure that Al Pacino was gonna show up as Mephisto at the end. And I was like, you guys are psychos.
He's like. I'm a bad Al Pacino, but he's just like, oh, I'm gonna get you, Vision. They're like, that's what you want?
Yeah.
That is the conclusion to this? You don't, yeah, like that's the huge thing is that whenever like they're doing those press junket circuits and they're like, come on, give us a nugget. We want to know the ending. And I think it was Don Cheadle, and he was like, you guys don't actually want to know. Like, you'd hate it if I told you. That would suck for you. Like, I'm not going to tell you, and you don't want to know, so stop asking.
So shut up. Yeah, that's so funny. Has there ever been a greater discrepancy between the integrity of an actor and the role they are playing than Don Cheadle being in Space Jam: A New Legacy playing Al G Rhythm? Like, Don Cheadle is like,
oh my god,
one of the classiest actors in Hollywood. Just like, we'll talk about it next week. I just
and
can't
he
get
really
over it.
I'm very excited. That will be a very fun and special episode of this podcast.
Okay, so go ahead, do our plugs, Kezia. We'll wrap it up.
Okay, I'll try and go fast. I'll try not to dawdle or whatever. I listened to the rest of the podcast and I'm mad at you. So.
Okay.
Okay, if you want, you can follow us on Twitter. You can see all of our Twitter plugs at No Nerds Pod, at Hollaback Horse, at Jepperpeck. If you'd like, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us on Twitch. Ring the bell. Do the thing. We're trying to get to 50. What?
Make it to 50.
Follow Jackson on.
We're at 30.
Follow Jackson on TikTok.
True.
It's the same at Jepperpack. He
Yes.
talks about comic books. If you care about books and no one else will talk to you, talk to Jackson. Don't get mad at him though, it's just his opinion. Also join our Discord. We've been talking about I Think You Should Leave. We've been talking about apples, and we've been talking about the new Marvel What If trailer that dropped. We never really got around to it because we talked about everything else. Right. But we can talk about it in the Discord, so join us there. I think that's everything. What's my time, coach?
Sounds great. Fast. My review's on my phone back there. I'll have to get up and get it. But before I do that,
don't you wish
Jam.
I'd
Dummy.
doll?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to explain
You're
Space
not
Jam?
fast enough.
No, I just wanted to say I want to get better in the habit of like saying what movie we're doing next week at the end, because we don't always, and I feel like people are surprised sometimes. Space Jam. Next week we're doing Space Jam 2: A New Legacy, produced by Ryan Coogler, starring Don Cheadle, a very classy production. Definitely.
And Zendaya.
Yeah, definitely does not feature any Looney Tunes, like rapping.
Are you explaining the goof?
No, let's talk about
also,
it. Let's talk
First
about it
Play.
camera. Yes, with First Play, with Ben and Max from First Play podcast. Okay, I gotta go get the thing.
I guess we're not explaining the goof.
Should I? I'll just do it. All right. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening. The thing about we're trying something new with our podcast, with the Space Jam podcast, in which it will be an Among Us style. One person out of the group will have not viewed Space Jam 2, and they are trying to trick everyone else into thinking that they watched the same movie, and everyone else is trying to figure out who's the liar. So it should be fun. There should be hijinks, and it'll be a little different, but
It'll be amazing.
It'll be entertaining. So
okay.
Join us, won't you?
So,
yeah.
would you guys like to hear a 1-star review of Black Widow?
I sure would.
Great. Thank you for responding on this audio medium. First of all, I'm just gonna say
I'm trying to deal with the lag. It won't sound good.
It's okay.
There's a lot of issues going on.
First thing I'm gonna say, a lot of people who need to work on themselves on this review section. If you're watching a new Marvel movie opening day and going and writing fucking angry reviews about how much you hate Marvel movies, you need to just chill, for real. I'm just gonna say that. But so this review comes from Letterboxd, and this person says, I'm gonna go see this movie in theaters to laugh at how ass it is, and then boo at the end, 'cause the MCU sucks. Edit. I will never pirate a movie, so even though this movie is gonna suck, I will pay to watch it like everyone else, period. too angry,
Okay.
but has a moral
Those.
compass.
Or one of those.
Yeah, like will not commit a crime. Fair enough. But
Snobbery.
Will-
But like the I respect film too
Yeah.
much to pirate, and also Marvel is stinky doo-doo. Like
I'm
that,
willing
he's
to
that
disrupt
guy.
the fun theater experience of dozens of strangers, but I will not.
Else.
was that written by wait, who was the director that was like Marvel's not cinema
Martin
or
Scorsese.
whatever? Was it? Yeah, it was Martin Scorsese. I couldn't
It was
remember
written
who
by
it
Martin
was.
Scorsese.
But like
Imagine if you went to
What?
a Black Widow screening in New York on opening night, and like the credits roll and everybody's clapping, and you just hear like boo, and you look over and it's Martin Scorsese. Just
Queen of Mud, Queen of Fizz.
yes.
Putrescence.
I don't know.
Putrescence.
If you don't like something, just don't watch it.
Yeah, just chill.
There
Be
you
chill
go.
about it.
There you go.
Don't go see it
If you
opening
like
night
something,
and
just
be
shut up.
pissed.
Shut up.
Yeah.
People on
Yeah.
the internet need to learn. If you don't like something, you don't have to look at it. Like
It's not required viewing.
Yeah.
It's not required. You can literally turn it off for
if
free.
you don't watch it, great for you. You
Yeah.
don't got it.
You don't like it? Walk out. Oh, you just saw a 12-year-old get beheaded by a pole? Walk out of the movie. I'm not speaking from
Pick
experience.
your ass up and get out of there.
So anyway,
Yeah,
my name's
if you-
Jackson McMurray.
Yeah.
My name is Adeline McMurray.
My name is Kezia Rhodes.
And this has been No Nerds Allowed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you and good night, and keep it salty out there, sailors.
Yeah. And
I'm
also
gonna
keep
go eat
it
a burrito.
keep it beefy out there. Beef cats.
Okay.
You
That
beefy
is-
boys.
I don't know.
Beef.
Oh wait, Meat Cat from 30 Rock. That's who I'm
Oh,
thinking.
right. That's a deep cut.
There you
It's a deep
go.
cut 30
Not
Rock
Beef
joke.
Cat. Sorry.
The deep cut.
That's maybe one of my favorite 30 Rock jokes. I think it's so funny when Liz Lemon is like, you take a hot dog, stuff it with some jack cheese, roll it in a pizza, you got cheesy blasters. And then Meat Cat flies away on his skateboard. Like, that's just
Right.
so funny. I don't know why.
Oh, I forgot to say that, like, one of the things that's interesting about Marvel TV also, I don't know if I'll put this in later, but, like, the way they're set up is that they kind of have two creative heads. They have one person who's, like, a head writer, who's, like, the showrunner, and one person who is the director, which TV shows don't normally do. They usually just have different people direct different episodes, but all the Marvel shows, they have, like, a person who is a director for the series. And all three of the Marvel series that have come out so far, either the showrunner or the director have been women on all three of them. Because Jack Schaefer was the head writer on WandaVision, and Kate Herron is the director on Loki, and what's her name? Carrie Skoglund, it was the director on Falcon and Winter Soldier. So it's just this thing that's getting like normalized more and more constantly, which is good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Look at that arc. Look at it arc.
Character growth.
That's another. This is something. I understand that we've gone for a long time.
Yeah.
But this is something that I think about a lot. Where, when I'm like resting my arm on my leg, but then I'm still trying to express with my hand. So it's just like it's a comfortable position for me. I have a bad back, but like in media, I feel like the one thing that is gray for me, where I'm like, this person, like, if you are not a member of this community, you shouldn't play this part. But where that's gray for me is like sexuality a little bit.
Right.
Because there are gays who play straight, Neil Patrick Harris, Hot Priest from Fleabag, Andrew Scott.
Right, yeah.
But then when like a straight person plays a gay person, it always feels like, why? Like, why can you? But I'm like, so now you're saying any gay person can't play a straight person now? What are you like? What's the right thing?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will say
and
I
it's
love
like the
Karen
weird-
Chris.
Well, and that's like the weird thing too, that like you have to out yourself in order to play a gay character, which is a dangerous thing to say for people. And like in the internet, we already police people's identities enough to like add that layer of it, where it's like, oh, are you bi? Are you straight? Are you pan? Are you gay? What are you? Are you demi? It's like all that stuff, and like you have to like, you can't like you have to like out yourself in order to play these roles, and it's like, well, that's not what we want. But at the same time, we do want people who are that thing to play that thing. Yeah. So it's tricky. It's tricky, folks.
Maybe I'll throw that in the Discord. I feel like with all of that Luca, the inspired Luca talk at
we'll bring the Luca energy
in the evening. It was probably earlier than that. I get tired early, so like I was like, I can't read this right now.
I go to bed at like 6,
and then by the time I could read it, my computer was broken, so I couldn't read it.
What? I wasn't paying very close attention to the chat. A little bit ago, Ian said Hugh Jackman did it. Do you remember what that was in reference to?
We were talking about older male leads, I think.
Like
him as Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman was the straight who played gay. That's what he was talking about.
Well, there we go.
Because I don't know.
The boy from Oz.
Have you watched Oklahoma?
It's the boy Adeline. It's the boy from Oz.
Okay, let's call it a day. I'm so sleepy. I will see you guys all next week for a big fun episode, and
by myself.
Catch you on the flip side.